I'm here with Georgia, the British Bulldog's daughter. How are you doing today, Georgia?
I'm very good. I'm very cold here, but I'm very good, thank you.
Now, you came all the way up here from Tampa, Florida, too. How do you feel about that?
Temperature shocked. I think my blood's gotten, or my skin's gotten thinner or something. But yeah, I'm definitely not used to this cold weather. But I'm really liking here in Philadelphia, and I'm at the original ECW arena, which is super cool. And I'm seeing my brother Harry Smith and my cousin Teddy Hart and Brian Pillman Jr. wrestle tonight, which I'm really looking forward to. So all around excited.
Okay, now can you tell me what was it like growing up with the British Bulldog, anyways?
It was pretty cool. I had a really awesome childhood. Yeah, lots of trips to wrestling shows. Kids didn't believe that my dad was the British Bulldog until he would pull up in the car and pick me up, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, that's your dad!" But as well, I didn't really get to see my dad that much. So there was some really good highs and some lows with it. But overall, I couldn't have picked a better dad.
Okay, now, what are you doing in the wrestling business?
Honestly, I work at iHeartMedia in Tampa, Florida. I work at 933 FLZ, so I do a lot of media work. I do social media, special events. I do midday programming, and I do on-air talent work. So I do that, but I love to do on-screen interviews and be on screen ultimately. So MLW invited me, and Be in Sport invited me here tonight to do some on-camera things. So I jumped at that opportunity to do that, and it's been really cool so far.
Awesome. Now, is there anything else you'd like to talk about at all? Like any experience you had growing up? I know you're close to Brian Pillman Jr. And do you know Brian Pillman Sr. at all too? Or?
Yeah, I did. I met Brian Pillman Sr. The last time I saw Brian Pillman Sr. was after the In Your House show in 1997. Do you remember the Calgary when?
Yeah, I remember that one.
You just remember? Yeah, you might remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the last time I saw Brian Pillman Sr. was we went to my grandpa's house, the Hart House, after the show, and he was holding a cat. Coincidentally, Ted's got a cat here tonight, so it's like full circle. But yeah, he was holding one of my grandpa's cats, and that was the last time I saw Brian Pillman, was at my grandpa's kitchen. And I just met Brian Pillman Jr. today. Actually, we were on the same flight from Atlanta. I had a stop over in Atlanta, so we met. And it's just like we've always known each other. It's crazy. Let me see. Anything else you want to know?
I don't know. Just did you ever get to go backstage at all at any wrestling events with WWE, WWF back then?
Yep. All the time. Yep. Yeah, I was pretty much more backstage than I was in the audience. So, yeah, it was really fun though. The headbangers would always play with me and my cousins and my brother, and I loved Shawn Michaels when I was little, and I loved bugging him. And I really liked Sunny when I was little. Goldust I really liked. So yeah, just a bunch of different characters in my life. And let me see, anything else?
Now, did you ever meet the McMahon family, like Vince McMahon, Shane, Stephanie, Linda?
Yep, I've met them all numerous times. Yep. I haven't seen Vince in a few years, neither have Stephanie, but yeah, if I were to tell them, they'd know right away who I am, and I kind of look a little bit like Davey. Okay. So they know me, but yeah, they're good people. They're good people.
Okay. Now, what was it like being backstage at a WWF event too?
It was fun. It was really fun. Catering was fun. Sometimes it may have gotten a little bit boring. I remember one WrestleMania. Do you remember when my dad and Lex Luger, they had to do some thing with Jonathan Taylor Thomas? Do you remember that? It was at a WrestleMania.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
But I remember they filmed that for hours, and I remember I was sitting on a concrete wall, and I literally fell asleep, and it was so cold, and Undertaker came up with he had this leather jacket and put it on me because I think he saw I was cold and asleep. And next thing I knew, it was the interview was over, and then we had there was the Slammies after that, and I fell asleep at the Slammies when I was 8 years old. But yeah, my mom kept us occupied. But yeah, it was super fun. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know.
Okay, now you said you saw the Undertaker backstage and got to know him. What kind of person is he like, anyways?
Very quiet, very super quiet, but really, really nice. Yeah, he's very much on, I don't know if it's like on his terms with things, but like I know he can be like a bit funny when people ask him for like pictures and autographs and stuff, but he's always been nice to me. He's always been fine with me, but I've just heard some things, but I think he just kind of like just likes to keep to himself.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I think that's about it. Do you have anything you'd like to plug at all, or?
Watch MLW. You'll if you've enjoyed seeing me, you'll see me on here tonight.
Awesome. Thanks for the interview. It was a pleasure.
As a kid, I used to direct the neighbors and make little plays and stuff, but I never really got serious till I had to take an elective course in university.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And I took a drama course, and I just said, I finally found my place.
Nice. Cool, man.
I played Shylock in The Merchant of Venice at university, and I played Oscar Wilde. And so it opened up, like, I'm just like most people who just get a regular education. So I discovered that I studied about Julie and the pogroms and how Shylock wasn't allowed to have a business. The only way you could make any money was to lend money. And talk about usury, the banks and the credit card companies are worse than we ever was. At any rate, I found out a whole bunch of history that I didn't know anything about. And then Oscar Wilde, he was late 1800s, and he was probably the first avowed homosexual. He was very popular. He wrote plays like The Importance of Being Earnest and all these wonderful plays. And he was very, very sort of like this. But since then, I've directed 12 Gilbert and Sullivan plays, been in about 50 radio dramas, taught at university, opened my own theater, and which was wonderful, and opened a casting agency, which is still going after 30 years.
Now, what brings you to Peace of Mind Fest?
I'm 70 years old, I have 4 children, and I live in Nova Scotia by the ocean. What brings me here? I usually run my life by being asked to do stuff. You know, if someone says, will you come and audition? I'll go and audition, right? If they say, will you do a charity auction for us? I'll say, what's it for? Now, there's some I don't want to do anymore, but they're usually political. But I've lived my life by saying, sure, I'll give that a go. And it's worked out so far.
Okay. Like what kind of other stuff have you done?
Do you remember what question I was answering?
It was, the question you were answering was...
what brings me to the
Peace of Mind, yeah.
They asked us to come.
There you go.
Yeah, and we turn down some stuff now. You know, there's certain things you don't like to do but, anymore, because we tried them. But this festival is different. There's something... Well, the last festival last week we wrote in British Columbia, the birthplace of relaxed marijuana laws. I hear the guy who was the poster kid who was... Oh, that's awesome. Oh, what's the guy's name who was arrested and taken out of Canada and put in jail in the U.S.? Mark Emery. Do you recognize that name? I guess he's got a black mark against him. At any rate, we were at this festival where the merchandise and the food was 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times more than here. It was kind of high end because all the guys who controlled the dope, who made the solvents, or not solvents, but the ointments and the glass blowers, Randy and I gave out 23 trophies to the best growers, and they came from all over. And they were given free dabs, and they were given free everything. I got 10 of those little electric, and I've been giving them to my friends. You just go, and the little fucking light ends at the end.
Wow,
sorry for saying fucking.
That's all good.
That's okay.
It's internet TV. You can talk. You can say whatever you want.
All
it's
right.
Completely uncensored, so
All
don't hold back.
All right, so the reason that we're here is because we'll just ask Pat. I mean, smiling from ear to ear. We run like we run hard.
Okay.
We do. We run really hard. We did 60 shows this year so far, plus season 11, plus the podcast, plus I got 3 weeks vacation. Thank you. and now we're gonna run hard till the end of the year, ending up after 40 some odd shows more. We're gonna end up in England and Switzerland and Finland, and they sell out in 20 minutes.
Nice. Is there any favorite place that you've been in your travels? Any favorite country, state, anywhere you traveled to that's pretty cool?
It's all really interesting.
Nice.
You know, from $400 a night, a little room in a hotel in the Meat District in New York City, about this big, to the Santa Claus parade. I was in the Santa Claus movie that might be coming to Netflix. But there's different memories, like flying over countryside. I don't know where it was, but the hills were like this for miles and miles and miles. I don't know if it was the Ozarks or what the hell it was, but there's just things you remember, like swimming in the Caribbean down at Galveston. Yeah, and see, when we're on the road, we don't get a chance to explore very much. We do a show, we get up the next morning, we drive our rental to the next place, check in, set up, go back and clean up, do the show, and repeat it day after day. Yeah, but it's yeah, I'm gonna stop doing it soon. We're doing our own show January, February, March. We're taping it, and then we'll be doing season 12 for a movie. We're both. I know, it's just what we're doing is we're trying to satisfy an unquenchable appetite, because the trailer park is like a virus all over the world.
Yeah, I know. I've watched Trailer Park quite a few times myself. It's a really good show. You and Randy are really good at what you do. And
I don't watch the show myself. I like making it. I just want to put in a little bit of commercial. Swearnet.com. You have to pay $4.20 a month to subscribe. You can just do it for a month and you can pick up Jim Leahy and the Liquor Stories, which are hilarious, the Randy and Leahy show, the Ricky Learns whatever show, podcasts with all the voices you can't see anywhere else except on swearnet.com. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Swearnet.com.
Yeah.
Yep. Go to
Anyway,
it.
ask me another question. Somebody has an interesting question.
Does anybody have an interesting question for Leahy?
There's some wonderful musicians here.
Yeah, feel free to introduce it in your band anyway on camera.
Yeah, we're from Medusa's Disco. We played Peace of Mind earlier today. It was quite a time.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite story of the show business that happened? Like the craziest thing that ever really happened to you backstage or before you performed?
Okay, here's one. I don't know if it's on that tape or not. Could be. I was working on a movie with a fellow from New York who was the first AD, who was my boss, and I was doing casting. And I was really good at background casting. I could get you 100 perfect background casting. Oh, I should deviate here and tell you. James Cameron is really a stickler. Like the model of the Blue Nose of the Titanic had to have the same number of rivets in it. I mean, as if. Anyway, Josh McLaughlin was the guy's name, and we were working in a movie down in sort of the... Doesn't matter. Anyway, my job... No, it doesn't matter to the story, because what's the name of the eastern town, not Marlborough, the famous, you know...
New York.
No, it's a beautiful little resort town where just expensive people go. It's the classic. It's in the
Hamptons?
What?
Hamptons?
It could be Hampton, but on the ocean. You know what's the name? Never mind. Anyway,
Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard's very close. It'll come to me in a second. Anyway, Chester, Nova Scotia is a ritzy town, and I live close by there, and a lot of people know who I am. And so I went to the richest people in town and asked them if they would attend this garden party and be extras in the movie. And so I had 50 really great guests at this high-end party in Chester for this cool movie. What was it? It was Dolores Claiborne is what it was, and it's Stephen King. And so I'm driving home or back to the office in Halifax to work on my next day's work when Josh McLaughlin phones me and he says, "These extras are all wrong." And I said, what do you mean? He said, "How'd you pick those?" I said, "Oh, I had the director, Taylor Hack."
I think so.
Oh, I forgot all about the camera. I had the director, Taylor Hack, look at the pictures. And he,
Okay, just
he
keep
said, "Well,
going.
they're not the right kind of people." I said, "They're all millionaires. They're all summer guests who come to." And he goes, "Well, you didn't get enough of them." And I said, "You didn't get enough of them? What do you mean you asked for 50? Well, the mix is all wrong." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "I want 20 more extras, half male and half female, dressed to the nines, on the set, within 1 hour." And he hung up. Now, this is a highfalutin New York kind of cockknacker, right? Handsome as hell, smart, and really good at his job. But I knew how good I was. There's no way that I could get 20 perfectly dressed, very respectable looking people for this background garden party. But I decided I would try anyway. So I drove the streets of this little town in Chester and up and down until I stopped in front of a church that had a whole bunch of cars there, and the people were just getting out. And the priest was saying, "Okay," and I jumped out of my car, ran down to the priest, and I said, "Do you mind?" It was a minister, and I said, "Do you mind if I just make a little announcement?" He goes, What do you mean?" I just thought it was a disaster. So I said, "Excuse me, everybody, we're making a film here in town." Most people knew about it, because they did. It's a small town. And I said, "And I need 10 women and 10."
I also have a show called Meet My Followers, so hit me up on Instagram.
Okay, now what brings you here to SWF?
Sure, so I'm here part of MBK Vision Entertainment. I'm actually one of their models. I am going to be walking with the celebrity wrestler, so definitely this is what Bailey brought me out here, and I'm having a lot of fun, guys. It's super dope event.
Okay, now what kind of stuff do you normally cover and all?
Sure, so I do interview in general, like a lot of artists or any businesses out there, or really anybody out there, because everyone, I feel like they have a story.
Okay, now like what artists have you had on your show?
Sure, so I have a lot of local artists. I also had a producer that used to work with Fetty Wap, so it's really a lot of people I've been interviewing. I'm actually on my 50th episode right now, so it's a great show, guys.
Okay, now how long have you been doing this for?
Since last October, actually.
Now, what do you think of the show so far here?
Oh no, like I said, a great event, guys. I love it. This is actually my second time coming here, because last time I came was in November, and super dope event. I love wrestling as if, so I definitely support.
Now, what do you think of wrestling these days on TV, like WWE and AEW?
To be honest, I wish that this will be in TV rather than WWE. I'm sorry, no offense to the wrestler fans, but I feel like you guys bring that heat that we're missing pretty much.
Now, did you watch WrestleMania at all?
No, I didn't. I missed it.
What's your favorite wrestling moment of all time?
It had to be with Undertaker. Yes, I love Undertaker, man. Any performance that he does is like, oh my God, it's breathtaking all the time.
What's your number one favorite Undertaker match?
To be honest, it's hard, guys, because I don't know specifically the match exactly, but I know he was it was a big moment, like he had to return. And nobody ever like thought he was gonna return, and I feel like that was one of like the big moment that I love.
What about that moment when the Undertaker threw Mick Foley off the top of the cage?
Oh my God, yes, that was crazy, super crazy.
Any any other famous wrestlers that you like at all besides the Undertaker?
Yeah, absolutely. I love The Rock. I do love the dynamic duo. I'm sorry, but it's been a while since I've been watching the wrestlers. What do you call it? The three guys that are new. I don't know his name. Those three guys that always wear black.
Trying to think of those three guys. I know the New Day.
And then they ended up like falling apart. They doing their own thing. Roman Reigns.
Oh, the Shield, yeah.
Shield. Oh my God, that's my top.
What do you like? What's your favorite moment with the Shield?
Oh my God, my favorite moment of them, it really would have to be the beginning stages when they first started. Because really when they first started, they really brought the heat to the ring and they really did their thing.
Now, what do you think of what's going to happen at the show later on tonight after intermission?
Well, I'm actually excited for the ladder match. I can't wait for that. Like, I'm over here, like, just yelling tables, chairs.
I know, definitely tables, ladders, and chairs matches are definitely one of the most happening things in wrestling. I remember Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys had some very memorable tables, and ladders, and chairs matches, especially when you throw in the Dudley Boys. What do you think of some of those matches?
Oh my God, super crazy. Oh my God, you just remind me actually of the time that they were in the cage. I don't know if it was WrestleMania or not, but he literally threw himself from the cage like all the way up high, and he ended up falling towards the table. I believe it was, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm horrible with names. What's his name? Because he was fighting like, I think it was Undertaker. Well, he's very famous. He's with the he has his guy. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm horrible. I can't remember the wrestler.
Now, trying to think. Do you have anything you'd like to talk about at all, or?
Well, in general, guys, to be honest, just keep living life, stay safety, stay healthy, because health is wealth nowadays. And to be honest, just do you, and be happy with life.
Exactly. All right, now, what kind of music do you like to listen to?
To be honest, I'm open-minded to any kind of music. I don't have any in particular. I love all kinds of music. Music feeds my soul.
Okay. So I mainly like any type of music too, as long as it has a good beat, because music could actually set a mood and uplift people or take people down, no matter what kind, depending what you're listening to. And I generally like the uplifting stuff that put people in a good mood. But any type of music has the ability to affect people in different ways. What do you think about that?
No, most definitely. I actually had a person interview last night that he told me how he copes with stress is with music. So definitely music is a getaway.
All right. Now, do you have any favorite artists that you've interviewed or anything? Or?
So far, like I said, I feel like the local artists are my famous artists, because even though they're not out here, like, you know how other famous artists are like up there, they are doing their thing, and they are, like, you know, reaching out, going for their dreams.
I'm trying to think what else. What other stuff do you have coming up that you want to talk about?
Sure. So I actually had I was recently in a music video for XLG Official. So definitely check it out. It's called Calling My Line. It's all out on YouTube. Super dope. It was my first music video, and I actually now have a collaboration with Rocks Gear. I am one of their models for their clothing line, and lots of great things coming up. So stay tuned and follow me on Instagram.
Okay. So what was that like modeling for you?
To be honest, I'm new to this. I love it. It definitely gives me another perspective of things that I want to go with when it comes to my career. So, yeah, it's super dope.
Now, how about the designer that designed the clothing that you wear? Who was the designer, if you want to talk about them?
Sure. So the designer, they're actually 4 owners, and it's Rocks Gear's Clothing. It's rocksgear.com, I believe, is their website. Or if not, you can also follow them on Instagram. Their Instagram is rocksgear. And yeah, like, their clothing is super dope and comfy, and like I said, it is amazing. And actually, too, I will be in an upcoming movie called Ladies. So stay tuned for that. It's a new independent film. I was there for like 2 weeks ago on set, and I can't wait till you guys see it. Super dope concept. Shout out to Akia, because she is the one that read the movie.
Now, what was it like acting in an independent film?
Oh my god, it was like, oh my god, like I don't know how to explain it, guys. Like, it's like when you're in the scene and you have all these cameras on you, it's like you will think I'm not shy because I interview people all the time, but I'm super shy, guys. Super.
Now, how do you kind of break your shyness when you're in front of the camera?
To be honest, how I break it, I just think about the future. You know, I just think about how I work so hard to get where I want to be now, and it's like that's basically what I think of. My first stages.
Now, where did you start out at?
I started out, well, a year ago, to be honest. This is my story. A year ago, I was depressed. I was overweight. And I ended up getting really, really into health, basically. I started taking care of me. I started like finding out what does Sin likes. And that ended up boosting up my confidence and ended up like me getting me opportunities out here, because people started seeing like the way I shine, the way I walk, the way I talk, and it really changed everything a year ago.
Okay, absolutely, and yeah, that's definitely an inspiration for a lot of people to hear about that, because you could definitely, by saying that, you could help people out in a lot of ways.
No, most definitely, guys. Like, seriously, like sometimes it's okay to start over. Sometimes it's okay to start over and fall back and really see yourself like in a third perspective. Like, what is it that you want from your life? What is it that you want to do to make yourself happy? Because at the end of the day, we have one life to live, and we have to make ourselves a priority always.
Absolutely, and trying to think, we're still going. Anything else you want to talk about at all? Or?
Well, let me ask you some questions.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
All right, perfect. Ooh, I'm excited. All right, so let's talk about you whenever you're ready. All right, so let's start with who are you and what brings you here?
Well, my name's Alan Fenstermaker. Also, I go by the Fence Man. I've been involved in independent pro wrestling for a couple of years now, and kind of just got hooked up with SWF back in November. I was here at the last show there, so kind of in full circle now, because I started out here and I'm back here again for the biggest show, SWF Mega Slam of the year, and it was kind of like a pretty good ride for me. I had 2 experiences to work with WWE. I worked with Impact Wrestling twice. I worked with MLW countless times. So I'm just enjoying this ride a day at a time, because it's a blast. I met a lot of cool people along the way, and never forget this experience.
Oh, absolutely, that's amazing. And what are your goals in the future?
Pretty much my goals in the future, like take it a day at a time, and just enjoy it as things come, and just continue to watch wrestling and enjoy wrestling, and just enjoy the people I meet along the way, and that's what it's all about. It's about the people we meet, the relationships we meet with people, and I'm just grateful to be here and just experience everything like this.
Oh, that's amazing. No, that's super. And what would be some advices for people out there that want to do the things that you're doing in your film?
Well, pretty much my big advice to people is just stay focused on what you want to do, accomplishing your goals, and just be in the moment, or keep your head where your feet are, because a lot of people tend to miss out on things because they're too focused on what's the next biggest thing, where like just focus on what's in front of you and be in the here and now, and then you never miss out on anything that way.
Okay, awesome. And tell us, how are you doing to stay healthy out here?
Pretty much, I go to the gym, I work out, I kayak, I just eat right, and just make sure I sleep well enough, get the adequate amount of sleep, and just self-care is number one. Just make sure I take care of myself.
Most definitely. No, that's definitely true. Now, after the pandemic happened, has a few things changed in your life?
Pandemic, I know, like, I work in a healthcare setting, so like I kind of like have been working through this whole thing and just helping people out, as I work at a residential group home. So like I'm an essential worker, so I've been out and about through this whole thing, and so through the whole pandemic, I've been on the front line seeing things, and just the pandemic, it's like a restart to everything. Just getting everything back to where we're at, and just more people taking the vaccine, that's helping too, like, because it's helping us beat this whole thing called COVID-19, which has impacted a lot of lives in a big way, and but also it's like a big reset thing as well, like to reset how things are being, and like give us a chance to look at things and how like things are going, because the pandemic is a way to just kind of just look at, take a chance to rebuild from it, like we do. Like every chance is a chance to rebuild.
No, absolutely. I hear you on that. Well, keep being amazing, keep striving, and moving on from that, what are some things that you have going on right now in your life?
Let's just say working with SWF Wrestling. I got MLW coming up on July 10th, and that's always a good experience, driving around wrestlers from the hotels and the airport, taking them to the arena, and then also just having the opportunity to just meet the wrestlers and all, and then just hang out with them on the car ride on the way to the arena, and so just pretty much just working my job and just living a normal life, and just kind of just being me and just enjoying life. That's what it's all about.
Okay. Hey, that's amazing. And currently, you have any kids, family?
No, I don't have any kids or any family. I live by myself, and I just but I mainly stay active and all, like with doing what I want to do, and like just focusing on helping other people along the way.
Okay. And do you have any funny stories to tell us?
Any funny stories? Trying to think. Fun.
With so many wrestlers out here, so many people.
Oh gosh, dude, there's so many funny stories.
What would be like your top five?
Top five. I just say like probably I got a lot of good memories up in Woodstock, New York, and like going up there, hanging out at Cumberland Farms in the parking lot, and just going to the open mics over at the Colony, hanging out on the green in Woodstock with this guy Jogger John that in his 70s he manages to go on long distance bike rides and all, and be like an inspiration to all of us, and like how like to just enjoy life. He's a very giving guy, and has a lot of really cool stories to tell too. Like if you go on YouTube, youtube.com, and search Birdcliff TV, and just type in Jogger John movie, you get to hear a lot of cool stories with him, and like definitely is the day on the green I spent with Jogger John.
Okay. And now, if tomorrow the world ends, do you feel that you have accomplished the things that you want in life?
Honestly, there's a lot of things I want to accomplish, but at the day is I live a day at a time, and that's how I gotta just focus on just because I realize anything could happen anytime. Like I was actually talking to a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, where he said he was on the phone with a friend of his, and while they were on the phone with them, his friend that they were talking to, they died while on the phone with, and that goes to show like you never know when your life's going to end. That's why you got to just focus on living in the moment and just making the best out of everything, because things could pass you by if you don't.
No, most definitely. I definitely agree with you 100%. You have to make the best out of your life, because you never know when you may not be in this earth. Once again, I do want to thank you again for having me on your show, here on your platform. And also thank you for being here at Meet My Followers Network, and tell them where they can find you and locate you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You could look on Facebook, Fenstermaker Entertainment, or also you could search Top Rope TV, Pro Wrestling Archives, and You Can't Work a Worker, and also SWF Entertainment. We have a Facebook fan page as well where you could follow. Yo, this is the Fence Man here with the Fence Man exclusive. I'm here with David Arquette. What's up, David?
I'm good. How are you, Fence Man?
Doing pretty good, man. Now, how was your match tonight?
It was good. Bully Ray came up at the end, though, jacked my back up, put me through a table. So it was going good, but the Sandman came in, and I shared a beer with him, and my partner RJ City turned on me, as usual.
Listen, I have pictures to sell. This guy's coming in, he's making this money, he's cashing residual checks. I didn't sell one fucking shit. I had to go into business for myself, you know what I mean? A little bit. I apologize to you before I did it. So it's a courtesy. I would love to sell something.
Did you bring any shirts?
I brought a couple. I don't know where they are right now, but I have a couple.
Where are your photos?
Where's your agent? Where's your manager? Where's the big entourage? The David entourage? You're wearing a Ted DiBiase shirt. Is it bootleg? I don't even know. What are these, kids? I don't know what to do. And then somehow we won. Riddle me that.
We did. We won. We're undefeated as a tag team. You know that, right?
The Dumont Network.
I'm with I'm the fence man with Pro Wrestling
You're
Archives,
the fence man.
and also
Why?
with
Because you're
Top
pale
Rope
and you
TV.
just stand there and you're very wooden.
Kind of like that. Yeah, my last name's Fenstermaker. So
the fence.
anyway, what did you think of when the whole angle when Vince Russo had you win the WCW title?
Well, it was an honor to be a WCW champion, and I'm in the record books. RJ, people like RJ are always very jealous, but you can't turn back the clocks of time and the clock of time? I don't
Sands
know.
of time.
Yeah.
He's a very eloquent partner. It's so funny. He's the actor, yet I'm the one cutting the promos, too. I'm really propping it up in all corners here.
Okay. Now, anything else you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to shoot on at all?
Nah, Sandman. Fence man. Sorry, I've still got Sandman on my mind. He helped save me.
Mr.
Okay.
Sandman.
Thanks, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Awesome. Thank you. What was it like being in Smoky Mountain wrestling, and do you have any road stories that you'd like to share about from that?
Smoky Mountain was a great territory again because it was comprised of a lot of outlaw guys who were, and when I say outlaw guys, not guys who were outlaws as far as just independent wrestling, but the guys who kind of were rebels or spoke their mind like Jim Cornette. So that was very cool, and we had guys who loved the business and looking for a place to go when the business was changing, and we couldn't stop it. weren't going to compete with the WWE or anything like that, so we knew that. Road stories were, well, gosh, I just saw Tracy Smothers last night, and Tracy and I had. It's kind of crazy, man, because you don't go decades in this business unless you're Bobby Eaton and not have issues with somebody, or at least there's going to be a few screw yous here and go to hell and stuff like that. Just because you're around each other so much, and it's the nature of the business. It's the entertainment business, so. Tracy and I had an altercation on the side of the road one time. We called it Grapple and Gravel. Just because I had said something smart ass and he didn't take to it too kindly and wanted to kill me. And we were supposed to work a program, like starting the next day at TV, and I called Jim as soon as I got back and said, no, I'm not going to work with him. I just don't want to. I'm not going to take a chance. So, I mean, the road stories there were pretty much stuff I really can't say on air. But we had we had some great times, man. It was the Rock and Roll Express against Heavenly Bodies, and Jim Cornette being a big part of that, along with Stan Lane and Jimmy Del Rey. So it was a lot of fun. Everywhere I went was a lot of fun because I made it fun.
I believe in the women's revolution. I think it's awesome, and I get to be a part of it. So.
Okay. Now, do you have any inspirations that made you want to become a professional wrestler?
Well, definitely. The first time I heard of wrestling was through the show Total Divas. Definitely Nikki Bella and Brie Bella were my main inspiration because even though they're not fully Latinas, they were part Latinas, and I felt identified when I saw them, and thought maybe I should check out their sport. And I fell in love with it.
So I've been a wrestling fan since I was about 2 or 3 years old. It's because of my dad, and I was doing music interviews for a while on YouTube for about 5 years. Then my dad said, you know what, this has become a success, why don't you try doing wrestling since you're a fan? So I was like, why not? And then it kind of just propelled from doing interviews for my channel to signings to TV with companies, and now we're here.
Yeah, like what do you do for your channel?
So my channel is pretty much sit-down, long-form interviews with musicians and wrestlers. So it's just kind of having fun with people, shooting the breeze, not super serious. So
now, like, what are some of the wrestlers that you had on your show?
I've had everyone from Jericho to Mick Foley a ton of times, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, like anyone who I've kind of met in wrestling I've been able to have on, which is super gratifying. So yeah.
Awesome. Now, like, what are some of the highlights of your career?
Well, I started wrestling at local shows in Florida, and I started building a little name for myself. I was discovered by Major League Wrestling. I suffered an injury when I was in the independent scene, so I cannot wrestle, and I was picked for a manager role.
Yeah.
Now, what was it like having Kenny Omega on the show?
It was cool because he was one of my first big wrestling interviews when I was only doing wrestling stuff for about, I don't know, like a couple months. And when he said yes, I freaked out because I was like, he is the hottest thing in wrestling, and now he's going to sit down with the interview queen. So it was intimidating, but great. And since then, I've interviewed him multiple times, and he's awesome.
Now, how about the interview with Mick Foley that you did? How was that?
Yeah, I've interviewed Mick like 5 times. He's a friend of mine now, which is super surreal to even say. But he's amazing. I love Mick.
Okay. Road Warrior Animal, how are you doing today, Animal?
Good, man. Good. Having a fun time here at Icons.
Awesome, man.
It's always a blast.
Cool. Now, what are some of the highlights of your career you'd like to talk about?
Oh, man, yeah, it's hard, man, because Hawk and I worked, 25 years of main events, so I got to work with great guys. But, Bunkhouse Stampede, Night of Skywalker, SummerSlam 92, Wembley Stadium, Tokyo Dome. Those were all awesome.
Now, do you have any inspirations to get into the wrestling business?
If anyone out there wants to get into the wrestling business, man, you got to first learn the history of the wrestling business.
Okay.
Know what the guys and girls did that paved the way for you to get there, because otherwise, you have to appreciate that, and in order to appreciate the wrestling business.
Okay. Now, how'd you start out, and how'd you train to become a pro wrestler?
Actually, I just filmed the series Dark Side of the Ring this week, and I was with Ed Sharkey. Ed Sharkey was our bartender at our bar, and he trained Jesse the Body Ventura.
Okay.
And in turn went ahead and trained Hawk and I, and Smash and Demolition, and Scott Norton with the NWO. So yeah, man.
Okay.
That's badass Billy Gunn right there.
What's up, Billy?
I just wanted to get in this.
Nice, man.
I like doing stuff with Joe. Me and him are chemistry.
That's right.
We always have back when we worked together, and I beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a lie.
He
That is
literally
a
blatant lie. Look.
Okay. Now, anyways, what's your favorite era or time period in pro wrestling?
Man, I think now is a great time in wrestling, man. You got great companies opening up, between Impact, Ring of Honor, WWE, and now All Elite. Are you kidding me? All Elite's killing it right now, bro. AEW's killing it, and a lot of great young talent. I think that if the young talent listened to the powers to be and learned how to get the right psychology, you know what I mean, and combine the indie work with the psychology of what wrestling fans love, it's gonna be freaking unstoppable, man. So.
Okay. Cool, man. Thanks for doing the interview, bro.
What a rush!
What a rush! Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here. I'm here with Rob Feinstein. Rob, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Cool, man. It's an honor to interview you, and I got some questions for you. So, anyways, how did you find your way as a scribe for professional wrestling?
I've been a wrestling fan all my life. Back in the 80s, I started watching wrestling in around 83. And I started up a video collection basically by getting the Wrestling Observer. At some time, maybe 4 years after I was watching the business, I learned about the Observer. And they had a reader's page back then where people were advertising videotapes from all the different territories. So I started putting my name in the hat pretty much and getting up a collection, trading tapes with different people in Memphis and Florida and Japan and all that. And pretty much just built up my collection from that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what do you think the future of professional wrestling is?
Right now, I think the future of professional wrestling is going to be great. There's a lot of young talent out there. A lot of guys that are being used all over the country now have made it to NXT, so it shows promise to the younger guys, the smaller guys that are in the business, because you don't have many giants out there like you did in the 80s. So I think if you look at all the different companies, and I don't think the territories are coming back, but there's a lot of different companies all over the states now where guys are now being able to get to the next level. They're evolving, so to speak, and getting up to NXT and getting looked at from the powers that be, which is, of course, the WWE, which is pretty much the major player right now in the United States. And, of course, we have AEW coming right down the bat next couple months. They have the big show coming up as well down in Chicago again. So,
Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on AEW? Anyway?
Sorry. Vegas.
Okay.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the new AEW?
I think it's going to be great. I think it gives an opportunity to guys that are not going to WWE yet, and it's a new platform for guys like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, where they don't have to, they don't have to go to WWE and make their money there. They can make money outside of WWE, and they prove that they can, and they're very smart at what they do. They know how to market themselves. So right now they have a great marketing campaign and background, and what they do on social media is amazing, how they're getting all their followers and fans. So I think they're going to be a big force to reckon with, and especially if they get a TV deal in October, which is the rumor. I think that they're definitely going to be a number 2 promotion in the States for sure.
Awesome, man. Now, how did the age of the internet that we are in affect video sales?
It affected video sales in a big way, especially over the last couple of years. You put out a DVD, put out a shoot interview, and within like 2 days, it's up on YouTube or whatnot, and you take it down, and then it's back up there. So it really has hurt the business a lot from bootleggers, but that's how I started my business, from bootlegging. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and stand here and blast anybody. But yeah, the age of social media has definitely hurt the video sales, the DVD sales of our company. Not only our company, I know everybody's suffering, but we're still here. We do things differently with video on demand now. So we're always looking for new ways to market our videotapes. So, yeah.
All right. Now, who was the first shoot interview done, and how did it come to be?
Well, I think, I'm not positive who it was. It was either Sandman or New Jack. It was one of those two guys. And I got the idea from reading the Pro Wrestling Torch. Wade Keller would do interviews. And I pretty much said it would be a great concept to do this on video. So I pretty much started doing interviews. It was like around 95, 96.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what made you decide to start Ring of Honor?
After ECW went out of business in 2001, there was a big void in the Northeast region for professional wrestling. We were going to indie shows in New York and New Jersey, myself, Doug, and Gabe Sapolsky was working for me at the time. And I knew there was a big void left. We learned the business from Paul Heyman and traveling around with ECW for all of those years. So I figured, and I guess it was a great idea, basically, that came about, because we wanted to pretty much take the place of ECW and present wrestling as a sport once again. And we pretty much came up with the idea. I came up with it, and I talked to Gabe about it. And at first, he didn't want to do Ring of Honor. He's like, oh, you're going to lose all your money. It's a bad idea. And I said, look, if there's anybody that knows wrestling, it's us three. Let's put our minds together, and let's do this. And we created the company called Ring of Honor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, what was it like at the ECW arena at Heatwave 95 to attack Paul Heyman?
Oh, it was great. I still watch that every day. Not every day. I'm just joking. But, not many guys are able to say they beat up Paul Heyman, even though it's a work or whatnot. But, no, it was really cool. I was honored to be in the ring with Paul Heyman, a mentor, and to be able to lay the boots to Paul and punch him a couple times in the face. I think a lot of guys want to do that today. I'm just joking. But, yeah, it was a great memory, and ECW will always be a big part of my life. But that was a fun night. And I got frog splashed by Eddie Guerrero, too. Yeah.
There you go. What was that like, being frog splashed by him?
Awesome. Piece of cake. And he's a pro, and I love Eddie Guerrero. I loved him. He's one of the top guys, and brought him into our very first show for Ring of Honor.
Okay. And may he rest in peace, by the way.
100%.
Yep. What is your favorite match of all time?
My favorite match of all time would probably be Wrestle War 89 with Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. Nice. It was a perfect match. The story was there, and perfect finish. It was great. Yeah.
Now, what was your favorite era in wrestling history?
80s, hands down. Wrestling will never be the same. I watch it today, and I have this discussion all the time with Tommy Dreamer and other people that are in my little circle. There will never be another era like the 80s when you had all the territories, and when wrestling was presented as a sport, and there was kayfabe. And today you watch the business, and it's totally different from what it was back in the 80s, which is, it's not a bad thing, but wrestling was better in the 80s. It was real.
Okay.
Wink, wink.
Now, what would you say is the biggest difference in the business now than it was back in the 80s?
Oh, the guys that are smaller are getting a chance. We covered that a little bit. The lack of kayfabe in the business today, I've always said, is like, I don't like it, but I see where it is, and it's, there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, the business is totally different from the 80s. It's good and bad, and business is thriving right now, so you really can't complain.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it. Now, thanks for doing this interview, man. I appreciate
thanks
it.
for having us.
Thanks for the time.
I think the highlight of my life now is getting to see this man play in the 1,500 person venue at Lit Lounge. How incredible. Did you have fun tonight here at Raw?
Yeah, I did. I mean, this is just like in the beginning when we played at a club called Tracks in Charlottesville. And we would pack it. It would be like 1,000, maybe a little bit more than 1,000. But it had this incredible energy when you have like all those people in like one intimate space. It was cool. It sort of brought back memories.
Well, it's midnight right now, but looking at the crowd, you would think this is just the afternoon and people are partying. Oh, and we got even fans yelling your name. I love it. Well, the city of Philadelphia loves you. I hope we showed you a lot of brotherly love. And one cool thing about Boyd is he's a hugger. He hugs it out. You are the best hugger ever. And you took time to literally talk to every fan and give them a hug, which was amazing. Now, do you feel like your fans are almost like family too?
They really are, you know what I mean? It's like a real like heart to heart from the fans. I've really been in touch with a lot of them through Twitter. And, you know, we talk a lot and we share our hearts. And when they come down here, you know, I give the same love that they give me. And it feels good. So I'll stay here until the last person, you know, I don't have a problem with that.
Coolest musician ever. And although you played tonight, you came more actually for your new film. Amazing. We screened it. Response was incredible. How did it feel doing a Q&A with our audience?
It was awesome. I mean, people asked really good questions about the movie. And it's awesome too because sometimes it makes me think about things, you know, that I hadn't thought about and how I made the movie or something. And, you know, so it's really a lot of fun and I enjoyed it.
Well, Faces in the Mirror is out. You can get on iTunes, Amazon. I told him I'm going to buy it right when I get home. It's an amazing mixture of an incredible score by you and your talented crew, but also incredible cinematography that brings you on a journey.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the journey for our viewers.
Well, the journey is my whole goal in this was to make like an emotional roller coaster ride. You know, I wanted people to feel this movie through the music and through the images all the way through. So I wanted it to be like an experience, you know, and it's cool to have it in an environment like this. It's almost like a rock club environment, you know, where people are standing around there watching it because it should be like it's a music movie. Music is all the way through, and it should have that rock vibe to it.
Well, the fans tonight compared it to The Wall.
Right.
And how did that feel, being compared to something so legendary?
It was really cool. You know, I grew up with The Wall. I was like 18, 19 when that came out, so it was a huge influence on my life, and it was a huge influence on the way that I did this movie. I mean, I think that the thing that it did mostly was it gave me license to put music through the whole movie, and also to use you know, go out of the box a little bit in the way that I approached it. So I mean, definitely The Wall was a big influence, and it was very cool that people mentioned that tonight.
Oh yeah, and now tell us a little bit about the movie for those who are watching that haven't yet seen it.
Yeah, the movie is about a young man named Ben who comes back home to bury his father, and then he goes on this, you know, overnight like odyssey, and he meets these various people who along the way give him something that he needs to get over the guilt and the grief that he has about his father. And it's a beautiful movie. It's almost like a dream, really. The music and the images just speak the same languages, so it's just like really an emotional movie. It gets inside of you.
It was guttural when I watched it. And you'd mentioned that part of the inspiration was a friend of yours passed away. Was this project also like a way of dealing with your pain and like a catharsis of sorts?
Yeah, it really was, you know, for me personally, but really for everybody in the film, because everybody has gone through, you know, grief and that pain. So it was all put in there. The musicians all like came from their heart, and they were digging into that place as well, and we based it around that. So yeah, I mean, there was definitely a cathartic like effect like for everybody, I think, in the film that was involved in it, you know, because we got to let those feelings out, and you know, it felt good. It was a place that we can go to make something beautiful out of something that was painful.
Well, it showed. I saw tears of happiness and joy from a lot of your fans watching that film, and the hugs topped it off. So I'm gonna sign out by saying the city of brotherly love loves you and wants to hug it out. Can we hug it out for the city? Oh.
Yo, this is the Fenceman here with this week's Fenceman exclusive here on Top Rope TV. I'm right now here with the great Manny Fernandez.
Hey buddy, how you doing? Did you enjoy the show tonight?
Dude, it was an awesome show, man.
Man, they carried on, they got some stuff. That guy wrestled the ox, the hog, or whatever they call him, beast. Man, what a monster. I don't know where they got him from, but when I hit him, I thought I smashed myself into steel cement wall.
Wow. I heard you were trained by Terry Funk. What was that like being trained by him?
I wasn't only trained by Terry Funk. There was Terry Funk, Dory Funk, Blackjack Mulligan, Jake Murdoch, Dennis Stamp, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes. I can go on and on. Okay. I was trained by a lot of good people, and it was fantastic because that was old school, the way it's supposed to be taught, and he taught me respect for this business, and so that's what I got. Oh. Well, it wasn't me deciding, it was them deciding. See, I was playing ball at West Texas State, and I was an amateur wrestler. Of course, everybody knows that, but I wanted to play in the NFL for a long time. I thought I was going to play the NFL and retire, but it didn't happen that way. I didn't have nothing else to do, so they convinced me to be a pro wrestler, and of course, I had an argument with them, which I lost, as you can see.
Okay.
Rat House, what do they call that? Rat House Rat.
Yeah, right. Cool. So you have any favorite matches you've been in the past at all? Or?
No, lately I've been wrestling some of these young guys, big young guys. Okay. Ethan Page, Homicide, my guy Low Key. I've been involved in a lot of great matches with a lot of my kids, man, that I mentored are coming up now, and I've been joining a bunch of young, good kids out there today, and they'll come up and hopefully they'll get a shot at WWE.
Dude, that is really cool, man, especially to knowing that you're a mentor for other younger superstars, and what an amazing feeling it must be, like, to see them doing well, and it's a tribute to you, and it's all about, the business is, it's all about, like, passing down your knowledge to other people.
Yeah. You pass down your bloodlines to the young guys, they understand the business. You know, it's like my man Alpha over there. See Alpha? He come from a great bride, like Alpha, Sika, the great Samoans, man. We had some good time back in the day.
With our guest, Manny Fernandez, the Raging Bull. How are you doing today, Manny?
Good this morning, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
I just got through watching PBR, top pro bull riding guys kicking butt. Reminds me of me back in the day.
Awesome, man. Now, I heard you were trained by Terry Funk. What was that like being trained by him?
I wasn't only trained by Terry Funk. There was Terry Funk, Dory Funk, Blackjack Mulligan, Jake Murdoch, Dennis Stamp, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes. I can go on and on. Okay. I was trained by a lot of good people, and it was fantastic because that was old school, the way it's supposed to be taught, and he taught me respect for this business, and so that's what I got. Oh. Well, it wasn't me deciding, it was them deciding. See, I was playing ball at West Texas State, and I was an amateur wrestler. Of course, everybody knows that, but I wanted to play in the NFL for a long time. I thought I was going to play the NFL and retire, but it didn't happen that way. I didn't have nothing else to do, so they convinced me to be a pro wrestler, and of course, I had an argument with them, which I lost, as you can see.
Okay. Now, what? So you know the Great Samoans then?
Oh, do I? We used to party. We almost got killed one time.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we thought it was cool. They pulled their guns out and we're like, whoa!
Yeah, that's. I guarantee probably some wild stories too.
Oh yeah, we had some great stories back in the day, you know, the Murdoch stories, the Funk stories. Those stories are all old, you know, and a lot of the young guys haven't had that nature of being brought up in the business, like you say in Alpha Jr. You got up by his family and all the Samoan. The Samoan dynasties, one heck of Akishi, all the brothers, Barbarian, you know, all the guys that are Samoan have been good brothers to me in this business.
Nice, yeah, that's what's on there.
That's what's up, baby.
Awesome. You have anything else you'd like to add at all? Or?
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's Thanksgiving holidays and everything, and people ought to be grateful that there's some young kids out here wanting to learn the business, go to school, and going to proper schools like Samoan school, my school. Guys that know the business, get involved with the school, Bob Knox's school. All the schools are up here. Get involved with people who know the business and teach the business.
Yeah, no, Rob Knoxis is a really awesome teacher, so if you guys want to learn how to become a wrestler or just definitely hit up Rob Noxious. He's very knowledgeable about the business. You can definitely learn a lot from him.
And you got the Simone Dynasty right up the road. They up in Sika, they got a lot of knowledge.
What was it like being tag team partners with Dusty Rhodes and facing Ivan Koloff and Don Carnoodle for the NWA World Tag Team Championship?
Well, it was pretty exciting. It was a good match, and they were both good work. Uncle Ivan, one of the hardest workers in professional wrestling. You know that guy had it coming, and you were in for a fight with Uncle Ivan and Don Carnoodle, but it was a pretty fantastic match, and I enjoyed that.
Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on Cody Rhodes and with AEW?
Not much. I mean, they're trying to do something different, which you got to give them credit for that. But, it's like this. I grew up in pro wrestling back in the day, and everybody was a monster. Everybody was a big guy. You get guys in there, this idiot walking around with his hands in his pocket. Do that in a bar fight, see what happens. You got that kind of stupid stuff. Guys 150 pounds doing this. It's a good product, but it's not going to beat WWE. At least WWE, you look at the guys in the ring, and you can tell, maybe I don't want to mess with that guy. You look at the guys at EW, you can slap them around like little bitches,
Yeah. Now, what was it like feuding with Nikita Koloff?
It wasn't Nikita, it was Ivan. Ivan, Nikita was around for a short period of time, but he wasn't always there. And me and Ivan had the battles. Me and Ivan had the battles.
Okay. And what was it like when you met Arn Anderson and working with him?
Oh, now talk about a worker. That was one hell of a worker. That guy was awesome to work with. Great matches. Arn had great psychology. He was a tough as nails guy and pulled no punches, neither did I, and we had great matches. It was awesome.
All right. So, can you tell me about Rick Rude?
At this time of season, you always get back to thinking about the old days and the old things that were done back in the time compared to new time. And one of them was Rick Rude. He's probably the greatest partner I ever had. Probably one of the greatest guys I've ever known in the business. When Rick Rude came to me, he had enough knowledge to just shut up and listen, just like I did when I started. He was a great man. It's hard to think about these times. When we were together, we spent these kind of times together. Thanks to me all day. I miss him, and he's got a lot. There's still a lot of me and Rude. And Rude, a lot of him and me. Yeah, it was a great tag team.
Awesome, bro.
What was it like getting the opportunity to work with Abdullah the Butcher?
That was crazy. That was like two bulls in a china shop. It was fantastic. It was going to be tough. It was going to be bloody, and it was one of the greatest feuds I had in this profession.
Okay, now what's one of the best memories that you had with Abdullah?
When he went after Eric Sims. That was one of the best, Mary. He went after Eric Sims on the table because he's selling his gimmicks. That was one of my best memories.
Nice. Okay. Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Melina. How are you doing today, Melina?
I'm doing great,
Okay. Now, could you tell the fans right here, what made you decide you wanted to get into the wrestling business?
Oh my goodness. Well, I always loved wrestling, but the thing is I never thought I could actually do it, so it wasn't something I planned to. So I just I kind of fell into it. So I always watched it, but the plan was to be in the medical field. And one thing led to another. I wanted to do fitness stuff. And my friend at the gym, he said, why don't you go to my school? I was like, you could do training for fitness competitions, but you could go do it at my wrestling school. I'm like, what? I could do it? I see on TV? He's like, yeah, just come to my school. Okay. Started doing it, and I did it as a hobby, did it for training, for conditioning, and got scouted. And I was like, oh my, I could really do this? And they're like, yeah. So I just kept going to school, kept doing stuff, and one thing led to another. Right place, right time, and got a contract.
Awesome. Now, what promotions have you worked for in your time in the business?
Oh my goodness, there's so many that I can't remember all of them. Definitely SWE, MCW, trying to think BCW in Melbourne, Go Wrestling, Sydney, just different places. I just came back from Germany, so there's just different places that I go to. There's so many, but I just get happy no matter where I go.
Yeah, well, what are some of the highlights of your career?
Highlights of my career? Well, Of course, I'm going to say WWE style because I never thinking that I could ever become a wrestler. Like that was just so unreal to me that I could actually do this. I treasure every single moment of that. But to be able to be a part of a WrestleMania, that's like, because that's a big deal. Like growing up, like seeing that from home, like you don't think that you can actually be a part of that, and then once you are. Blew my mind completely. And then Eddie Guerrero, Ric Flair, Mick Foley, like these moments, like Rey Mysterio, Undertaker, like I watch them on TV and you don't think you're ever going to have those moments. And when you have those moments and you feel that moment, it's magical. It's just, I'll always remember these moments forever.
Okay, now you mentioned The Undertaker. What was that like getting to know him backstage?
Oh, unreal for the fact that, one, he's The Undertaker. And then you hear them give you advice and to watch your work. And that's, to me, it's amazing. It's amazing. He's a person that has so much knowledge and you respect completely.
Now, what matches did you have that you that stick out to you?
Oh, matches that I love, definitely like Trish Stratus, like championship moments, like that's another thing that's like a big deal. Like I say all these other, like working with people, but winning the title for the first time, like wow. But I loved working with Ashley Mazzaro. My top 5 is Mickie James, Ashley Mazzaro, the match for WrestleMania, Trish, Michelle McCool, and Beth Phoenix.
Okay. Now, what was that like being with Beth Phoenix and Trish Stratus in WWE?
Well, it's the same level as working with Gail, Kim, and Mickie James. Like, I guess I don't consider like Beth is incredible, but Mickey's just as incredible. Gail Kim is just as incredible. So I guess it's weird to say like Trish Stratus we've seen for years. I guess when I think of Beth, I'm like, oh. So it's like she's incredible, but it's like Trish Stratus. You know what I mean? But it's breathtaking. These people that you love, you grew up with, they're your family and your friends, and to be able to make magic with them is a beautiful thing.
Okay. Now, is there anything else you'd like to add or plug at all, anything? Or?
No, I mean, I always want to talk to people whenever I get a chance. So when I go to conventions, I want to see everybody before like I stop doing the wrestling circuit. But I just always want to tell people thank you for all these years of being a fan, or even if you weren't a fan and you hated me, like I still appreciate everything because that's what we do. We tell a story whether you love or hate us. And thank you for being there. Thank you for loving wrestling because that's what it's all about. It's about the love of wrestling.
Awesome. And thanks for doing this interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Lance Inouye. How are you doing, Lance?
I'm doing wonderful. Tired after this Super 8, man.
Awesome, man. How does it feel to be the winner?
Oh, it feels awesome. Like I said before, man, I've been doing this 10 years, and I always heard about the Super 8 tournament. That's always been a dream of mine. And to come here and be in my first one and also win it feels awesome.
That's awesome, man. Now, do you have any inspirations growing up to become a pro wrestler?
Yes, just following my family, man. I grew up traveling with my dad. My dad used to roll me around on his suitcase when he traveled to Raw, SmackDown, or not even SmackDown because there was no SmackDown, but just all the pay-per-views. He'd just bring me on his suitcase, and ever since then, I knew it was something I wanted to do, but I honestly never wanted to do it. I always was a baseball player.
Okay.
But after high school, I got the itch, and then I just wanted to do it, and then ever since then, I've been grinding and just doing what I can to make my family proud.
Awesome, man. Now, you said you played baseball before, too. Now, is there any kind of training that you do similar? How would you compare baseball to pro wrestling training?
Man, training is completely different. To train to be a wrestler, man, you got to expect to get hit by a car every single time you hit that mat. Because they say your first time taking a bump feels like you're getting hit by a car that's going 35 miles an hour, and your body's just not made for it. Baseball, it's a whole different story, just conditioning-wise. So.
Okay. Now, what was your favorite era or time period in pro wrestling history?
it has to be the Attitude Era, just because how much different things were. It was more it was entertaining, but it was also aggressive. Like there was always these savages. There's all these different characters. It wasn't a spot fest. It was just everyone had their own persona. Third generation. My father is Head Shrinker Samu, and my grandfather is Alpha, the Wild Samoan. My cousins are the Usos, Roman Reigns. The Rock is my second cousin. Umaga, Yokozuna, it's just my whole family. Like, and there's even younger guys. There's my cousin who's still independent, who's killing it, Jacob Fatu, which is Tonga Kid's son, and then Sefa, he's Rikishi and the Usos' younger brother. So we're just going, grinding, and keeping the family lineage going.
Okay. Now, what are some of the highlights of your career?
One of my favorite highlights was, I forget what year, but it was in March. It might have been 2016. I brought my grandfather out of retirement, and it was me, my father, my grandfather, and my uncles, Manu and L.A. Smooth. We did a 10-man tag, so that was a privilege. 3 generations in one ring. So that was always one of my biggest accomplishments in professional wrestling. Outside of that, being able to tag with my father up and down the East Coast, especially with the Head Shrinkers, and being on WWE a few times, and I also have a WWE tryout coming up for the 3rd time. So hopefully it goes. They say 3rd time's the charm, so let's find out.
Now, what was it like in the WWE when you had your experience there?
Oh man, WWE is being there. It's like home. Every time I go on the road with them, just doing extra work or tryout, it feels like that's where I'm supposed to be. So I'm not gonna stop trying. If I don't make it, I don't make it. But I'm still gonna grind and perform in front of everyone, all up and down the East Coast, West Coast, all over the world, because it's something I love to do. But WWE, man, that's just one place I would love to be.
Awesome, man. Now, thanks again for doing this interview, and good luck to you, man.
Thank you.
My name is Lanny Mark Poffo, formerly Leaping Lanny, and the genius full of glory and renown in the WWE from 1985 to 1994. And I represent my brother, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Here's his 2015 Hall of Fame ring. And we're meeting a lot of fans and doing a lot of great things, raising money for Randy's favorite charity, the Special Olympics.
Awesome, man. Now, how long you been in the business for?
I wrestled for 21 years, not counting the fact that I'm going to be 65 next month, and I'm going to wrestle in England and in Norway in April, and that'll mark 6 decades that I was wrestling in, but not well. Okay, I'm going to wear my trunks really high, and like I say, when you're a whore, if the price is right, I'll be there tonight.
Okay. Now, what was that like growing up with Macho Man?
Ooh, yeah, it was real good, because he was always giving me advice, and when you can get advice from the Macho Man, that's a good thing.
Okay. Now, what kind of training did you do to stay in shape for the ring when you were wrestling?
I did a lot of calisthenics, push-ups and squats. I also did light weights. I didn't want to use really heavy weights because that's how you get injured, and I wouldn't be able to do my gymnastic gimmick.
Okay. Now, any highlights of your career that you'd like to talk about at all, or any memorable matches?
Yes, on NBC, the Genius was victorious against the mighty Hulkster, and the World Wrestling Federation fell. For a billion Hulkamaniacs who live and die for Hogan saw the Genius was triumphant at the bell. They saw their hulking hero as he wallowed in self-pity, like the victim of a somewhat heinous crime, and now he has a partner even stupider than he is, so I'm sure he'll be the loser one more time. Mr. Perfect, you're the man who's never wrong. Can you prophesize what we're about to do? By the power of the Genius and the world's smartest man, I'll rely on my incredible IQ. Thank you.
Okay. Now, you said you do a lot of work with the Special Olympics. Now, what got you interested in supporting that cause and that charity?
Well, my brother had no children of his own, but he was always a good uncle to my daughter and a good father to his wife's 2 daughters from a previous marriage. So I would go to the Special Olympics with Randy. I would introduce him and do this poem. It's called the Special Olympics, and there's something about that name. It's taking people off the bench and putting them back in the game. No one should ever be denied the chance to grab the center stage or share an honest, open smile with other boys and girls their age. For personal satisfaction or just having a little fun, the spirit of competition is the birthright of everyone. It's a very special moment when they pass the torch and run. In the words of Charles Dickens, God bless us everyone. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Anything else you'd like to add or plug at all or anything? Or?
Go on geniuslannypoffo.com. That's GeniusLannyPoffo, and you can see my speech for the Hall of Fame honoring my brother. And you go on the videos, you can see my match against Hulk Hogan on NBC and other fantastic memories like being on Regis Philbin and a lot of great things.
Now, what was it like being in a match with Hulk Hogan?
It's the highlight of my career. Okay. And then the 4 months following on main events all over the world.
Okay. Any memories with Hogan you'd like to talk about, or no?
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Hogan, for making the Genius one brief shining moment in the silver chalice of success. Sipping from the silver chalice, not in the silver chalice, drinking from the silver chalice.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for doing this interview, man.
God bless. Thank you.
All right. Hey, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Birdcliff TV. I'm here with Kelly
Bickman.
How you doing, Kelly?
I'm great.
You got some amazing artwork here. Do you mind talking about your work and all? Or?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay. Now, like this piece, for example, like right here, what gave you the inspiration to do this?
This piece is called Heart's Desire, and I've changed the name a couple of times. It's also called Inferno. And this is kind of a piece about a love affair and chaos and flames of passion. But we have Ganesh here, who's the remover of obstacles. And then over here we have the Buddha in a meditative stance, bringing enlightenment to interpersonal relationships. And I have a tendency to bring in pop culture icons into my work. Like if you look at these crazy little characters here, these are coming off Tootsie Pop wrappers.
Okay.
So I'm finding inspiration in a lot of different, all over the place. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, like, what gave you the inspiration to create art to begin with?
The unstoppable need to pursue creation itself.
Okay.
Yeah, and love of the exploration of media.
All right. How long have you been doing this for?
Probably since I was born. Maybe in utero.
Okay.
I was probably sketching on the walls inside.
Now, like, what about this piece you have right over here? Can we talk about this?
Yeah, this piece is called Finding Bliss, and I painted this in South France after eating some chocolate that I bought in Amsterdam, which was very special. And it has a heart at the center, and then radiating out of the heart are these kind of tendrils that are showing the interconnectedness of everything. And I didn't have any canvas, so I went to IKEA and I bought a pair of curtains, and so this is painted on an IKEA curtain. Use what you gotta do,
How about this piece right here?
This piece is called The Garden of Eden, and it shows a couple in tantric embrace, inspired by Tibetan Buddhist art. It shows the snake, which is the serpent from the Garden of Eden, and over here it shows the tree of life, but instead of apples, I put hearts. And then on the bottom corner, it shows diamonds, which represents the diamond web of Indra, which is also representing the interconnectedness of everything.
Okay, very cool. Now, do you have any favorite pieces at all that you did in here?
I think this one here is my favorite,
This is your favorite piece?
This one, I was living in a Tibetan Buddhist nunnery in northern India, and I went to a cave to meditate at a lake called Sopema. And I was at the lake, and when I came out of this cave, I went back to my room and I painted this. And then one of the nuns came into my room and she said, "Oh, you've painted a portrait of Mahakala." And she said, this is an incarnation of the guru whose cave that I was meditating in, but I didn't know that. So it's like the portal opens and then the universe speaks to us through that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like living in northern India?
That was all kinds of amazing. It was terrifying and mind expanding, and going to a country like that really teaches you to be grateful for what you have here.
Yeah, exactly. Now, like, what was it that brought you over there to begin with?
I wanted to study Tonka painting.
Okay.
But they wouldn't let me into the school because I was a woman and they wanted a 12-year commitment. Okay. So I instead went to live in a nunnery that was close by where I wanted to study. And then I realized that I didn't really want to learn Tonka painting. I'm a contemporary pop artist, so I wanted to explore all of the rich visuals that were around me. And that's what I did. I just started taking buses and cars all over to study the temples and the temple art. And that was awesome.
Any particular temple that you that stuck out to you that you want to talk about up there? What was your experiences?
Dolma Ling has a really beautiful temple that's in northern India.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And do you have anything else you'd like to share about or plug or anything? Or
this show is up until the 30th of July, and if anybody wants to come by, come on over and see the art. Also, on Friday, a week from today, I'm launching my shoe campaign on Indiegogo. Come over here. Let me show you. I've been developing this line of shoes for over a year, and if you look, it's turn this way, the camera, and you see that's that painting on the shoe. And these are vegan. Most shoes use glue that contains cartilage from animals' bones and connective tissue, and I'm using vegan glue, which I'm really excited about. I have a removable padded sole, and I have 10 designs that I'm launching a week from today. I'm super excited.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for doing the interview.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
That was my commercial.
I'm here with Justin Credible. How are you doing today, Justin?
I'm doing great. How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good, man. Now, probably brings back some exciting memories being in this building.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it all started. Quite frankly, we helped build this building. When I came here in 1997, it was just a bingo hall, and now, if you really look around, it's multimedia, arena. It's state of the art, all kinds of restaurants and television screens, and lights hanging up, stage area. So it's amazing, and it really was a testament to what this building was, and what it still is to the fans of pro wrestling.
Okay. Now, what was it like your run in WWE when you were with X-Pac and X Factor?
I really liked it. We gelled very well. We both didn't want to break up, but unfortunately, at the time, WWE had acquired WCW, so it was kind of our control. And Albert and X-Pac went to the WWE side, and since I was in ECW, I went to the Alliance side. So.
Okay. All right. Now, any other exciting memories that you'd like to share about from being in this building and with ECW in particular?
Yeah, I was talking to Shane Douglas, who I was sitting next to. I had one of my best matches here, and literally I did a spot with him where I ran him, put him on my shoulder outside, ran him head first into one of these pillars, and he didn't put his hands up, and the place actually rumbled. Hit him so hard, so it ended up being one of the best matches we had ever had. So that's just one of them. Another match I did with Lance Storm, one of my favorite tag team matches of all time. Lance Storm versus Gato and Jado from FMW in Japan. So it's just really, really great to be here. Great experience, and hopefully we can keep doing these and keep coming back.
What have you been doing with yourself lately?
Well, I've been wrestling every single weekend. Next week I'll be at WrestleCade. The last week of November, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I also do a podcast with Vince Russo, patreon.com/Russo TWC, reviewing AEW. And like I said, I'm booked all the time, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both under PJ Polacco, and go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Justin Credible. I got over 24 classic and brand new shirts as I'm wearing today. So go check all those out, man.
Okay, what's it like working with Vince Russo on the podcast?
I love working with Russo. I think he's amazing. He brings a writer's insight into it where I bring the wrestling insight to it. So we gel very nice, and it's a good time.
Okay, thanks for being on the show, bro.
All right, thank you very much, man. Have a great one.
Hi, this is Samantha Elmer with Stage Trip Films, and I'm here today with Jennifer Montgomery. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Well, obviously she body painted me today. I didn't just show up like this, so it's really beautiful. So I just wanted to have you give us a little bit of information about it, like how you came up with the design, and just anything you want to tell us about it.
The design, we know, is really random. I work based on colors, so I just picked colors that I thought would look beautiful on you and put them together, and used a lot of sparkle. Sparkle is the key. I used a little bit of stencil for texture, and a lot of glitter gel to make it really stand out and look glamorous and sparkly and make you look like a diva. And I just went with the curves of your body, and just basically the design just kind of came to me as I started painting, and then the face design just made everything come together, and there you have it.
Last time we interviewed you, you were telling us a little bit about your background, about how you started with the body painting and everything, and you also said recently you did Cigar International, or it was Cigar Fest?
It was, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was awesome. That was a really fun event to do. I was honored to be the body painter for their 10th anniversary, and I had art already planned out that I painted on the backs of 4 models on 2 different days. And the girls walked around for promotional reasons. They took pictures with all the Cigar Fest goers, and it was a lot of fun, and the girls were a lot of cool girls to work with, and it was awesome.
Another one of your big loves that you've been talking about is Key West.
Yeah.
And you were lucky enough to spend the month of June down there. So you said that you plan to be going back in October and January, and eventually transition to that being where you'd like to work. What do you plan to do when you're in Key West and that world down there?
I just want to live a simpler, happy, art-filled life, and just enjoy the atmosphere and the experience of the awesome people and the Keys, and just do my art and just be happy and be simple and just rock out and do it up.
And the direction that you plan to take everything, I know you said you were intending on setting everything up when you were down there. How do you envision your life being? And maybe say, I don't like to say like 5-year goals or whatever, but if you could envision the perfect life for yourself right now, how would that be?
I would live in Key West, or the Keys, close enough to Key West. I would have a comfortable, cozy home with my cat and my husband, and fun and friends, and just the atmosphere of the beautiful water and the people and art. And that would be it. Just simple, everything simple. Less stuff, less stress. Just wake up in the morning and just enjoy the beautiful scenery and work out and then do my art and just be simple and just breathe.
Tell us a little bit more about some of the other projects that you've worked on and you've been working on.
I've been doing a lot of events, so that's been really keeping me busy. I do a lot of events in the Philly area, a lot of because I do face painting primarily, so I do a lot of children's events and community events. The big event that I participate in is the Wilmington Flower Market, which took place in the spring. A lot of money that's raised for that goes to children's charities in Delaware, so I'd love to participate in that. And like we talked about, Cigar Fest, that was a big one this year. And upcoming, I have the Kennett Square Mushroom Festival, which will be, I think this will be my 10th year doing that. So I'm super excited to have been taking place in that event for such a long time. And just keep on doing events, and that's what keeps me mostly busy.
One thing I was curious about, because as you were applying the makeup and stuff, you said that it just comes to you as you're going, and when you do your events, and you said something along the lines of this would probably be somewhere between $175 and but you have your prices. You said it's between there. Since you go to an event, do you just do what you would like, or do people actually tell you what they want sometimes?
because I do mostly face painting at events, I do have a menu of face designs that, you know, the kids, or sometimes adults, can select from, because it makes, you know, it just makes it easier, because children have a hard time making up their mind, if given, you know, the free reign to say, I want to be this, and, you know, if I have a line of children that I need to paint, then it just makes more sense to have choices to narrow it down, and then it helps me with the design and the flow of business. When it comes to body painting, like when I'm doing things for Fantasy Fest, it's basically whatever the client's looking for.
Yeah.
So I don't have, you can only get this or this, but if there's a theme for the event, they may say, like this year it's superheroes, villains, and beyond. So I'm going to be painting a lot of superheroes. So whatever that might be. I recently did a photo shoot where we did Wolverine and the Phoenix. So I expect to be painting things like that, Superman, Spider-Man.
Oh.
So if there's a theme, then obviously I can expect that I'm going to be going along with whatever that may.
One of the things I absolutely love is glitter, and I
Yeah.
noticed you put this on here. Did you want to say anything about the design? Because I'll even show the back so you can see the back too. And besides the fact it's freezing right now, and being like this is like a little bit trying right
In
now.
August, because it's now August.
Yeah, it's like winter in August.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything you wanted to talk about makeup-wise? Like, you know, I know that you said the makeup is specific, and the glitter itself. You were explaining that it's not like craft glitter.
It's
actually
not
like cosmetic glitter.
Right. Everything I use is it's meant for use on the skin and body. So everything is non-toxic. It meets FDA approval for use on the skin. It's safe. So you know you never want to use materials. I know people do it, but I would definitely not recommend using craft materials on the body, just because this is meant for your body. It allows it to breathe. It's not going to stain. It's not toxic. It's not going to give you any harmful reactions. And the glitter is it's cosmetic grade, so if it can be used near the eyes, it's not going to damage your retina. It's not going to do anything that's going to cause any dramatic negative effects to your body or skin.
Well, you've also been very good. I don't know if it's the aspect of just promoting or just how you are, because people follow up on your work and they really, really like it, and that's how you get hired and everything. What would your advice be to somebody who is interested in starting out in body painting?
My best advice is just do what you love and use common sense, and just, you know, don't ever quit. I mean, there's been, you know, there isn't a blueprint. I know there's business advice. I never followed a specific blueprint for a business. I just did what I wanted to do, and I used my creativity to think, okay, you know, what do I want to do? How can I make that work for me? And that for me has been successful, because it keeps me happy and I'm doing things that I enjoy, not, okay, I need to follow a certain plan or guidelines. Because I don't, in my opinion, that's just, maybe it's the artist's way, but I just think that if you want to do something, you can do it, and anything's possible.
So this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with, could you introduce yourself?
That's right. It's your boy, Jay George, and I'm coming at you live right now from the Melrose Ballroom. We just got done with a very exciting MLW Battle Riot show here. This is the second Battle Riot. The first one took place here historically in this building, so they're coming back, keeping up the tradition, and it's WrestleMania weekend, man. It's exciting stuff.
Now, do you have any matches that you're excited to see at WrestleMania this year?
At the actual event, the actual pay-per-view itself, WrestleMania, I mean, there's just so many matches going on right now. There's so much competition in the air, and everybody's going out and giving their best, not once but twice, 3 times a day, and it's really exciting to see. But as for WrestleMania itself, I'm excited to see the triple threat women's match, and I think it's going to be very cool, because this is history in the making.
Okay. Now, what gave you the inspiration to become a professional wrestler?
I think the moment that I realized that I was going to become a wrestler was watching Kane beat up the Brood on Monday Night Raw, and from that moment on, I just knew that this is going to be the path I was going to walk down on, and it's been a crazy ride. It's been a crazy ride now, you know, so I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
Nice. Now, what kind of training did you have to become a pro wrestler?
One of the things I've prided on myself is I've always wanted to be like guys like Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero, Lance Storm, who traveled the world and learned different styles. and I've gone to places like Mexico and trained in Arena Mexico for CMLL, and I've gone to places like WXW and trained in Germany for 2 months, and now I'm going on other international ventures, and my goal is to wrestle everywhere around the world. So my goal is to be able to learn and adapt to anything. So that's the kind of training I've done, where I'm able to mix up different styles.
Okay. Now, what was your favorite time period or era in wrestling history?
Oh man, to go back and watch, I have to say that pre Attitude Era 1997 is one of my favorite years in wrestling. But I have to say, from like 2002 to like 2004, 2005, I felt like the wrestling just got up on another level when you had guys like Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, Triple H, RVD. These guys were just at the top of the game, and Rey Mysterio's coming in, and not only that, but the independents were starting to thrive with guys that you've seen here tonight, guys like Low-Ki, Homicide, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Colt Cabana, and now they've taken professional wrestling as a whole to a whole nother level, as you can see by this insane weekend that we're being a part of right now.
Now, what was your whole thoughts on the whole invasion angle that WWE did with WCW and ECW?
I was super. I really like. I think if you go back and watch that Survivor Series match, like as a match, it's a really good match. Obviously, you couldn't get the big guys that you wanted to see. You didn't get like Goldberg in there, and Hulk Hogan and NWO didn't come until after. So it was definitely a little bit underwhelming. But I mean, I still enjoyed the big payoff and everything, and was still kind of excited to see how everything was going to transform. And I was looking at it long-term picture.
Okay, now do you have anything else you'd like to add or anything you'd like to shoot on at all? Or
what do you want me to shoot on?
Just pretty much anything. Just cut like burn the carpet down, rip anything, unfiltered, uncensored.
Well, I don't want to burn any bridges or anything, right? You got to be careful. But no, I will say I'm out here this weekend, and I'm not, truth be told, I'm not booked on a lot of events because I spent a lot of time out of the country, so it's kind of hard to make the proper connections in time for this weekend. But it is motivating to see a lot of my peers going out there, and this is the height of wrestling is this weekend, and I'm hoping in the future next year to be a part of it. And you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, jgeorge489, and you can also find me on YouTube. All of that's at jgeorge. That's your boy. Thank you very much for having me.
Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Keikoa.
Aloha.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic.
Okay, now could you introduce your group of people?
Yeah, so this is, for those of you who don't know, we just opened up our wrestling school. It's called Work Rate Entertainment Wrestling Academy. We're located in Mount Pocono. So I'm here with some of my trainees today. We have Brian, we have Donnie, we have Tiffany, and my wife Samantha, who's Sammy Pandora. For those that you don't know, she's been wrestling for about 6 years now.
Okay, awesome. Now, how did you get your start in the wrestling business?
So I started, there was a guy named Carson, Bud Carson, excuse me, and he had a memorabilia shop. Okay. And what happened was he basically just wanted to start a wrestling school. And I was already going to Carson's to kind of, just check out his merchandise. And he had a ring in the back, so I would go and play in it sometimes. And once I was a senior in high school, he asked if I wanted to sign up with wrestling school. And I said, absolutely, and here I am.
Now, what's your favorite era or time period in pro wrestling?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite because I like all of them for different reasons. I like the Attitude Era because obviously it was groundbreaking. It was something that was very raw. But I also like the old school with Dusty Rhodes, Steamboat, and all them because they were laying the groundwork for everything. And what they were doing at that time period was something that was so amazing to talk about. The fact that they were selling out every single night and they were wrestling how many matches a year. I mean, so different, every era has its own special reason of why that era is great.
Okay. Now, do you have any influences for wanting to get into the business?
When I was growing up, it was definitely Shawn Michaels. I was a big Shawn Michaels fan, and then I actually found out that him and I have the same birthday. So once I found that out, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, he's my favorite wrestler. And then once I started getting trained and I started learning the history of the business and everything, definitely Ric Flair, Steamboat was a big two influences, Dusty Rhodes as well. Especially since a lot of people were like, yeah, you really look like Steamboat. So then I started studying a lot of his tapes and seeing how he moves in the ring and how he does certain moves, and just trying to do my best to kind of carry on what he laid the groundwork for.
Now, what are some of your highlights of your career?
It's tough because there's definitely things on paper that I can always talk about. Being in the top 500 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated is always a great honor. Winning heavyweight championships for different companies is always nice. I've gotten to tour overseas. I've gotten to do a lot of work with WWE. So different things are always special to me for certain reasons. Even just doing big storyline matches with some of my friends that I grew up with. Like my buddy Chad, like him and I have known each other since we were little kids, and we were able to wrestle in a building that we went to as kids to go watch wrestling. So it's like that was something that's really special to me. So even though some things might not be always on paper that you see of, those are some things that I'm really passionate about and some things that I always hold dear.
Okay. All right. Now, what shows with WWE did you do?
I was on Raw. I've been on Raw, SmackDown, Superstars. I've gotten to do some matches. I've also gotten to do some backstage skits and in-ring stuff. So it really depends on what they need for the day.
Now, what was that like being backstage at WWE?
The first time that I got called to WWE, and you're just kind of backstage and you're seeing the huge team that they have, like putting everything together, whether between the ring and the entranceway and all the millions and millions of feet of cord that is going everywhere. Just seeing everything get put together and how much of an army they have was really, kind of breathtaking almost, and kind of like, holy crap, like this is really a well-oiled machine here. Like everybody knows their job, everybody comes here and does it. And but just being able to be at the place that you grow up watching, and that's what your goals and your aspirations are, it just makes you so much more hungry because you're right there and you can almost taste it.
Awesome, man. Now, do you have anything else you'd like to plug at all, or?
Everybody can always follow me on social media. It's at Keikoa Pro. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can obviously find Work Rate Entertainment on Facebook. And you can also find our wrestling school. Like I said, it's at Work Rate Wrestling Academy. So definitely check us out. And if you're interested in becoming a professional wrestler, manager, any type of career that you're looking for in wrestling, I always say this all the time. I've had a lot of near-death experiences in my life, and there's a lot of moments that I've had in my life where you actually don't think that there is a tomorrow. And I don't think of any reason whatsoever that somebody sits at home and says, you know what, I've always wanted to be a pro wrestler, I've always wanted to be in the wrestling business, and then not take that chance on your dream. You have one life, you have to take 100% advantage of it. So if this is something that you want to do, get off the couch and go do it.
Awesome, man. Now, thanks for the interview, man.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Hey, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Hollywood from the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Awesome.
The original Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. We don't want to get it mixed up with Glow Netflix.
Okay. Now, what do you think with the whole women's revolution in wrestling these days?
I think it's wonderful. First off, I always think if you didn't have Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, you may not have that. And we never can forget our legends, the Moolahs and Penny Banners. So I always give thanks to the legends that were before us. But I think that they're doing a fabulous job. Their athleticism is better. It's really good.
Okay. Now, what do you think of the direction that wrestling is going in these days?
I'm not a huge fan, so you're asking me a question, I'm being honest. But what I see is these girls are such athletes. I think it's going in the right direction, and I'm loving to see that we're seeing different heights and different weights and different physiques. And so that to me is really important, that it's not all TNA looking.
Okay.
So that I love. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what gave you the inspiration to get started in wrestling?
Oh boy, so that's a long time ago. There's going to be a big panel, but I'll tell you quickly, it was just an interview, audition. I went down to this. I was not a wrestler. None of the girls were. David McLean was there asking us, this show's going to be about women's wrestling. Who's interested? Raised my hand, went in. Mondo Guerrero was my trainer, was April's trainer. And they picked 12 of us. We did a pilot and did our show.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now, thanks for doing the interview. Do you have anything you'd like to plug at all?
I would love to plug it. If you guys are interested, I have a Twitter, which is @GlowHollywood. We also have a wonderful cruise that's coming up. That cruise is September 7th through the 14th, if anybody is interested. OriginalGlowGirls.com. Come and cruise with the Glow Girls. Thank you.
Thank you for doing the interview.
So nice to meet you.
Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Greg the Hammer Valentine. How are you doing today, Greg?
I'm good, thanks.
Now, can you tell me something? What do you think about your feud that you had with Ric Flair?
Well, it was legendary because I broke his big nose. And I also almost broke his leg, but the nose was the big deal.
Now, what advice would you give to someone that's trying to get into the wrestling business?
I don't know what to tell them. You know, I mean, it's all different nowadays. It was really hard to get into in the 70s, 80s, 90s, my era. I guess it's a lot easier to get into it now, but who knows if that's going to help you make it to the top. You know, there's, WWE. You know what? I would tell them to make sure they kept their day job.
Now, what gave you the inspiration to become a pro wrestler?
I guess it would be Johnny Valentine, my father. And, I was on the road with him a long time, and so I got hooked. I wanted to try it. And I never looked back. It was tough, being the son of a famous wrestler like that. But I think that's why I made it, because it was tough.
Now, I guess that's it. Now, anyways, thanks again for doing the interview, man. Definitely appreciate it. Okay. This is Alan Fenstermaker here on Top Rope TV. I'm here with Gabby Ortiz. How are you doing, Gabby?
Oh, I'm good today. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, how was your match tonight?
It was a tough fought battle, but I came out on top. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be an exciting time to be in the wrestling business now, like with the women's division booming. Do you have any inspirations when you become a pro wrestler?
Yeah, so I really always looked at AJ Lee's matches because we're like the same size. So like I take a lot of like what she did and I apply it because it was very effective when she was in WWE. So I feel like, because we have similar body types, that I'll be able to use her stuff. And I always, of course, I loved Lita and Trish Stratus, all those girls from the Attitude Era that basically paved the way for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a specific favorite time period in wrestling?
I think right now is where it's at. I think when we're going to look back in about 10, 15 years, we're going to look at this time in pro wrestling as the best, especially for the indies. Yeah.
All right. Now, what kind of training in particular did you do?
Yeah, so I trained at the world famous Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey, and now I currently train with Cheeseburger from ROH at the Worldwide Dojo in Bristol, PA.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what's it like training with ROH?
You're learning from the best of the best, so that's how it is. It's just, you're always learning something. Even when you think you got something, there's always something more to learn, so that's, yeah.
Yeah, do you have any highlights of your career so far?
Oh my God, yeah. So just today is the 2-year anniversary of when I debuted at Korakuen Hall in Japan, and I won my debut there. So that was 2 years today. Yeah, it's probably the biggest highlight. Yeah.
Now, what was that like wrestling in Japan?
It was scary as hell. It was very scary because I was very, very new. I still consider myself pretty new, but I was particularly new when I went to Japan, so it was a great experience overall. I look back on it very fondly.
Okay. Now, do you have anything you'd like to plug or add at all or anything?
Well, at the moment, you can just follow me on all my social medias. I am at GABBITY on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me at Gabby Ortiz on Facebook.
Awesome. Now, thanks again for doing the interview.
Thank you, Top Rope.
Filthy Tom Lawler, the new MLW World Heavyweight Champion.
Congratulations, brother. How's it feel to be the champion?
Well, it's only been a few minutes, so I'm not really sure. I'm sure my life will change drastically over the next few days. Endorsement deals are going to become flying in. Women are going to be throwing their panties at me as I walk down the street. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, but right now, I know I'm savoring this victory.
Awesome, man. Now, do you have any inspirations growing up to become a pro wrestler?
Yeah, of course. I mean, pretty much everybody I saw in that damn ring get in there and do it, you know. It takes a real man to step up and see what they're made out of. So anybody that gets in there, a real tough guy. You know, coming from an MMA background, obviously big fan of Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn, some of the old school shooters. So it's cool.
That's cool. How long you been in the business for anyways?
Started wrestling 2005 was my first match. Then was doing MMA for a while and going back and forth between the two of them. So first fight was 16 years ago. First wrestle match was 14, I guess. So it's been a while, you know.
Now, what are the different promotions you've wrestled for anyways?
I've been here for MLW over the past year or so, or 2 years. I fought for the UFC for 10 years. You know, fought all around the globe. So,
what was that like in the UFC, anyways?
Yeah, it was pretty intense. You know, you can see the action here in MLW. You know, it's pretty rough and tumble out there. Just a little bit different rule set they have to get accustomed to in the UFC, but you know, it's all a fight when you're out there. So.
Okay. Now, how does it compare to professional wrestling, anyways?
Yeah. It just depends on how you're looking at it. You know, the training, obviously for both of them is really tough. The worst part about pro wrestling is the wear and tear on your body, going from city to city, performing every night, day after day. Really takes a toll on you. So.
All right. Do you have any goals within the next year you would like to accomplish?
Just keep defending this bad boy all across the world. Keep raising its name.
What was it like being in Smoky Mountain wrestling, and do you have any road stories that you'd like to share about from that?
Smoky Mountain was a great territory again because it was comprised of a lot of outlaw guys who were, and when I say outlaw guys, not guys who were outlaws as far as just independent wrestling, but the guys who kind of were rebels or spoke their mind like Jim Cornette. So that was very cool, and we had guys who loved the business and looking for a place to go when the business was changing, and we couldn't stop it. weren't going to compete with the WWE or anything like that, so we knew that. Road stories were, well, gosh, you know, I just saw Tracy Smothers last night, and Tracy and I had. It's kind of crazy, man, because you don't go decades in this business unless you're Bobby Eaton and not have issues with somebody, or at least, you know, there's going to be a few screw yous here and go to hell and stuff like that. Just because you're around each other so much, and it's the nature of the business. It's the entertainment business, so. Tracy and I had an altercation on the side of the road one time. We called it Grapple and Gravel, just because I had said something smart ass and he didn't take to it too kindly and wanted to kill me. And we were supposed to work a program, like starting the next day at TV, and I called Jim as soon as I got back and said, no, I'm not going to work with him. I just don't want to. I'm not going to take a chance. So, I mean, the road stories there were pretty much stuff I really can't say on air. But
we had some great times, man. It was the Rock and Roll Express against Heavenly Bodies, and Jim Cornette being a big part of that, along with Stan Lane and Jimmy Del Rey. So it was a lot of fun. Everywhere I went was a lot of fun because I made it fun.
Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Despina Mantagas. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for doing this interview. Now, what are some of the highlights of your career that you have?
Well, I mean, it was all amazing. It was a short run, but it was amazing. And I could say that initially going to Japan and, literally after coming out of training for about 8 months and then going to Japan and totally getting my butt kicked, it was a great experience. I mean, it was awesome because the girls were good. They were good wrestlers, and it just showed the caliber of what's out there. So that was awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what was it? Yeah, what were some of your inspirations to become a pro wrestler?
Inspirations? Honestly, I wasn't really a wrestling fan. I was an athlete, went into a slump while I was playing golf, and I said, you know what, there's got to be easier sport than this. So the sport that I chose was wrestling, and it was one of the hardest things I ever did. I mean, the training was, 2 times a day, morning, going and taking a nap, rolling out of bed for the evening training, and then working at night. But it was very, very grueling, and I have a lot of respect for the wrestlers now. Yes.
Now, do you have any, what do you think of the women's division these days with the whole women's revolution coming up?
I think it's amazing. I mean, women are good workers. They're good wrestlers, and they deserve to have, all the publicity and, just be pushed in the business, because I remember back in the day I would have matches with, for example, I would work for Bob Geigel in Kansas City, and I was wrestling with Debbie Combs, and we would out-wrestle the guys. They would be so mad at us that they would have to follow our matches. So, not that we were so great, but we did good. We had good matches and bad matches, but we did really good sometimes. So I think the girls, as long as they're trained properly, I think, it's awesome what's going on. Yeah, the exposure. And I got to say one more thing. Another good experience was in Kansas City, Kansas, in a dressing room. That's where I met my husband, Tarzan Goto. So out of that, we're not married now, but still, out of that, I have 3 wonderful sons, and that was the best thing, Yeah.
And now, what was that like raising sons and also being in the wrestling business? I know with all the traveling involved.
Well, I actually lived in Japan for the 7 years that I was raising my children, and I wrestled a little bit for FMW, and then I went to the all-girls wrestling organization, and I said, I want to work, and they said, first of all, aren't you married? How old are you? And don't you have children? So the message was loud and clear: stay home and take care of your family, and that's pretty much what I did, And I worked a little bit here and there. My ex-husband and I, we had the first mixed tag match in Japan, so it was awesome.
Yeah. Now, how would you describe your experience in Japan overall?
Oh my God, I loved it. It was awesome. It was the people are fabulous. The food was awesome. I loved everything about it. It taught me a lot. Yeah, and I also learned the friends that I had. Even though they were Japanese and I'm American, it was we didn't have many differences. We were very similar in the way that we thought, about raising our children and about marriage and everything. So it was a good experience. Yeah, it was great.
Now, any advice would you give to anybody trying to get into the wrestling business these days on what you would recommend?
I would say just, if you have a dream, follow your dream, follow your heart, never give up. And then sometimes when the road changes, or just say you hit a brick wall, don't be discouraged. Give it up for a minute, turn around and walk the other direction. You might have 3, 4, 5, 100 doors that open for you. So that's what I would say. Yeah, so don't give up.
Anything else you'd like to add at all, or?
I just, thank you for having me, and I'm just happy to be here. I haven't done anything with wrestling in 35 years. Actually, it was 34 years a year ago that I went to the CAC convention because Malaya was able to raise funds to bring all the girls in, and that was amazing, So it inspired me for many things. So I'm working on things now. Social media is one. I'm an auntie, so that stuff kind of makes me nervous. But I want to get out there. Is it all done? Oh, so yeah, and I just want to get out there and start doing something to promote, to help basically the veterans of the business that weren't treated so well by Moolah. Let's finish with that, because that was a horrible thing the way that she was, but that's just the entertainment world, and people take advantage of their talent. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm just trying to like I said, get out there. I really want to write a book like most people do, but and I have my own ideas about it, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, definitely look forward to reading your book now. Like, when are you expecting to release that?
I've just been typing notes in here, typing notes on my phone. So it's a process, I got to raise funds so I can have the time to go do the things I want to do to reach the people I want to reach. I know I could do it on the phone, but I have some really good ideas. So if everything falls into place, maybe within a year. So, it's even finding the right people that will help me to understand that, So it's a process. Rome wasn't built in a day, and it's something I think that really honestly God planted a seed with me with the CAC convention. A lot of really good ideas. They're all on paper. A year later, I really haven't done anything with it, but it's time. It's time to rock and roll. I think by being at these events, I was at one last week too, after a year of being at the CAC, and I think just being here, it sparks a flame even more to see how people.
Rolling. This is the Fence Man here with Top Rope TV's Fence Man exclusive. I'm here with Delirious. So what are your thoughts on tonight's match?
Tonight's match, Delirious was his debut with CCW and he was and I'm the champion. Champion was CCW Chris Banks, and he was over here, and it was a hard fought battle. But it was and it's a good fight, it's a good battle, but he had to resort to all these things. He had to hit me in the balls with the low floor, he had to ring behind, and in his manager, they placed each other in the ring, and it was and I had to walk, I had to be on the HD side, but the referee was not down. It was the referee down. He was that's what the ring, and then he goes trying to go, but he goes off. Now we're back here, and everybody's seeing you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing the interview with me. And, it's been the Fence Man exclusive on Top Rope TV. Hey, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Dave Christ. How you doing today, Dave?
It goes back and forth. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty. How was your match tonight?
Well, it was really good up until the fact that we lost, but it's okay. It's fine. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
Okay. Now,
how was your match tonight?
I wasn't in a match.
Oh, that's right.
I'm an interviewer. Now, what inspirations do you have to become a pro wrestler?
Sam McCallahan, Jake Christ.
Okay. Now,
I guess I'm older than them, so I guess it really doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and say Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, guys like that, Ric Flair, the dirty ones.
Okay. Now, what kind of training did you do to become a pro wrestler?
Well, I started training at the age of 15. We trained in a barn with no heat, no air conditioning. It was an aluminum barn, so basically when it was 100 degrees outside, it was like 110. Inside that barn. So there are also these little holes from where it's a tin roof. So when it would snow inside our ring.
Okay, that's interesting.
Kind of sucked.
Okay.
It was trained by a guy named Bill Kovaleski.
Okay. All right. Now, what's your favorite era or time period in wrestling history?
I'm going to go ahead and say the 90s. I was a really big fan of ACW.
Okay. Now, like, that probably brings back a
What's
lot.
your favorite era?
My favorite era would probably be the Attitude Era, and now it probably brings back to,
unimpressed.
okay. Now this probably brings back to you some memories being in the old ECW arena too. What's that like?
Well, this isn't my first rodeo, cowboy. I've been here before.
Okay.
I've won many championships in this building.
Okay.
Back in the day in ACW.
Okay. Now, what promotions?
I wasn't in ECW.
Okay. Now, what promotions were you in before?
Like before I got here?
Yes.
Oh, this is my first time ever wrestling.
Okay, it is.
No. I've wrestled for a long time. Let's see, I've wrestled for Big Japan, obviously in Japan. WXW in Germany, Fight Club Pro in England. Trained at HWA, Heartland Wrestling Association, after I, left. Once I was 18, I trained there, so I wrestled there. OVW, I've done some stuff, basically all over the country. PWG, CZW, Jakara, House of Hardcore. I mean, should I keep going, or do you want me to stop? Rockstar Pro there in Dayton, Ohio. I can quit, or I can keep going. Ring of Honor, like when we were 2 years in, we got our first Ring of Honor gigs. Yeah.
All right. Now, do you have anything you'd like to plug at all, or?
What do you mean plug?
Like any events you have coming up, or any social media or anything?
Well, when's this going out?
This is going out probably within the next week.
So if I mention that we'll be here again tomorrow with Impact Wrestling, it won't make a difference.
Nah.
Oh, okay. No.
Okay.
How about those brownies? Let's plug the brownies.
Okay, that works.
September 8th against the Titans, opening day. I'm all about it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Anything you want to plug?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
I'm good,
Why don't you go ahead and plug your stuff?
Okay, I'm with Pro Wrestling Archives and Top Rope TV, and just thanks again for doing this interview with me, man.
See that? I got your shit in.
Okay, cool. Awesome, brother. What was it like working with Dan Severn? Because I know like you trained him. He was saying that you guys wrestled in a prison yard show match at the Lima Correctional Facility. What was that like?
Yeah, we did. We used to do shows at the prisons, and that was a little different. They have their own laws in there, their own rules, their own sense of etiquette. So it was very wild. And Dan's awesome. He's a great person, and we trained as for professional wrestling, and then together for the UFC. And Lord knows we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know what we were even getting into back then compared to what they do now. It was night and day between the two types of UFCs. So.
What was it like to be trained by Al Snow and then to beat him in a match in AAPW?
Al is a very funny person. People just don't realize what a great sense of humor that he has, and he has been underutilized. He's a great talent that can do a lot of great things. I mean, the man can wrestle with a broomstick and make the broomstick look good in the process. And literally, my very first professional wrestling match was against Al underneath the proverbial hood in disguise. And but at the same token, that was a very strange match because it was in the Lima Correctional Facility. So the heels were getting all big kinds of pops, and the baby faces were getting booed. So all the psychology that they were telling me didn't work in that particular scenario.
Okay, that must have been interesting wrestling in a jail. And
it was a prison yard show. Wow. A prison yard show, and you had the guards, basically in like about half a dozen different positions just to watch, make sure no one is going to be approaching the ring.
Hey, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Bird Cliff TV. I'm here with
Leon Rainbow.
And I don't know her name. And you're a body painter, huh?
Yeah, I'm a graffiti artist and body painter. I'm based in Trenton.
Okay. And this is some of his work that he did right here. So if you want to pan in closely so you can see. And what's your name?
Monet D'Angelo.
Okay. Now, how long have you been modeling for?
Literally 8 months.
Awesome. Now, Any inspirations to model at all? Or?
Inspirations wise, my facial structure, I usually get a lot of compliments as in Naomi Campbell. So I look at her work and usually try to go based off of what she does, but also with my own type of look.
Okay. Now, like any inspirations for you to be an artist at all? Or?
I guess a lot of my stuff, inspiration comes from like street or like, you know, like this was like a holiday theme, so I tried to do something that was like kind of like cool, you know, kind of went with the seasons, like winter, try to bring in those purples and blues and whites and stuff, and try to give it like snow and ice effect.
Okay. Alright, now, where can people find you at so they can look up your work?
On Instagram at Aerosol Leon or leonrainbow.com.
Okay, what about this?
Monet Deandra, MONETDEANDRA. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Thank you guys. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, bro. I'm here with Orange Cassidy. How are you doing today, man?
Fine.
Now, what's it like being in AEW?
It's good.
Now, like, how long you been in the business for?
A while.
Okay. Now, you got any highlights of your career that you'd like to talk about?
No.
Okay. Now, who's the biggest opponent you've wrestled in AEW so far?
Everyone.
Everyone? Okay. No one in particular at all, or?
Nope.
All right. And what are your thoughts about like the wrestling business today and all, like with the whole feud with the NXT and Raw and SmackDown going into this with Survivor Series?
It's good.
Okay. Thanks again for doing the interview, bro.
Thank you.
Cool, man.
My name is Mohammed J. Ali. I've been doing stunts for over 5 years. I first started training in martial arts as a teenager, and I started off in martial arts by watching martial arts films on TV. And after a while, I realized it wasn't only the martial arts aspect, it was also the film aspect as well. I trained a lot in martial arts. Was for an international Turkish film called 5 Minarets in New York. It's a Danny Glover film that I rode my bike into an oncoming car and head first onto a head-on collision onto this car and landed smack dead into the windshield. I've trained in a variety of different martial arts. I've also trained in some gun disarms. Some of the highlights of my career, being on TV show, being on TV shows that are on Comedy Central, being on NBC, being on hit video games, Grand Theft Auto 5, being in movie theaters for hit movies. One of the bigger ones that I've done is Steven Spielberg's Lincoln.
With our guest, Manny Fernandez, the Raging Bull. How are you doing today, Manny?
Good this morning, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
I just got through watching PBR, top pro bull riding guys kicking butt. Reminds me of me back in the day.
Awesome, man. Now, I heard you were trained by Terry Funk. What was that like being trained by him?
I wasn't only trained by Terry Funk. It was Terry Funk, Dory Funk, Blackjack Mulligan, Dave Murdoch, Dennis Stamp, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes. I can go on and on. Okay. I was trained by a lot of good people, brother. And it was fantastic because that was old school, the way it's supposed to be taught, and he taught me respect for this business, and so that's what I got. Oh. Well, it wasn't me deciding, it was them deciding. See, I was playing ball at West Texas State, and I was an amateur wrestler. Of course, everybody knows that. But I wanted to play in the NFL for a long time. I thought I was going to play the NFL and retire, but it didn't happen that way. I didn't have nothing else to do, so they convinced me to be a pro wrestler. And, of course, I had an argument with them, which I lost, as you can see.
Okay. Now, what did you think of some of Terry Funk's matches that he competed in over in Japan with Cactus Jack?
Well, they're pretty tough matches, but if you go back and see 1979 when I had matches with Terry Funk, they were more brutal. Terry Funk was, like I said, I got to wrestle my mentor, and he didn't take it easy on me. he educated me properly.
Okay. Now, what was it like being tag team partners with Dusty Rhodes and facing Ivan Koloff and Don Carnoodle for the NWA World Tag Team Championship?
Well, it was pretty exciting. It was a good match, and they were both good work. Uncle Ivan, one of the hardest workers in professional wrestling. You know that guy had it coming, and he, you were in for a fight with Uncle Ivan and Don Carnudo, but it was a pretty fantastic match, and I enjoyed that.
Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on Cody Rhodes and with AEW?
Not much. I mean, they're trying to do something different, which you got to give them credit for that. But, it's like this. I grew up in pro wrestling back in the day, and everybody was a monster. Everybody was a big guy. You get guys in there, this idiot walking around with his hands in his pocket. Do that in a bar fight, see what happens. You got that kind of stupid stuff. Guys 150 pounds doing this. It's a good product, but it's not going to beat WWE. At least WWE, you look at the guys in the ring, and you can tell, maybe I don't want to mess with that guy. You look at the guys at AEW, you can slap them around like little bitches,
Now, what was it like feuding with Nikita Koloff?
It wasn't Nikita, it was Ivan. Ivan, Nikita was around for a short period of time, but he wasn't always there. And me and Ivan had the battles. Me and Ivan had the battles.
Okay. And what was it like when you met Arn Anderson and working with him?
Oh, now talk about a worker. That was one hell of a worker. That guy was awesome to work with. Great matches. Arn had great psychology. He was a tough as nails guy and pulled no punches, neither did I, and we had great matches. It was awesome.
Okay. All right. Now, what was it like when you started helping Jimmy Valiant in his war against Paul Jones and his army?
Not much fun. I didn't enjoy that too much. I wasn't into that. I don't get into all that Tennessee high spot stuff. Poke me in the ass, boom, play possum. Nah, that's not me, dude. Okay. So I didn't enjoy that at all.
All right. Now, what was it like getting the opportunity to work with Abdullah the Butcher?
That was crazy. That was crazy. That was like two bulls in a china shop. It was fantastic. It was going to be tough. It was going to be bloody, and it was one of the greatest feuds I had in this profession.
Okay, now what's one of the best memories that you had with Abdullah?
When he went after Eric Sims. That was one of the best, Mary. He went after Eric Sims on the table because he's selling his gimmicks. That was one of my best memories.
Nice. Okay. Now, you know about the whole Bruiser Brody situation. What are some of your thoughts on the whole situation with Bruiser Brody?
When you come to that, generally I don't speak on that anymore.
Okay.
Enough has been said. And I get tired of everybody bringing that up. If you bring up his memory for what it meant in this business and what he meant in the business, yeah, then I understand. See, Brody did a lot for me. And I keep reiterating this. Get off that stuff. It's over and said and done.
Okay.
Let it be buried.
Okay. All right.
How you doing?
I'm the bull father.
Hey, bull, what's up? I'm a bull.
Yeah, and I'm as big as you are.
Yes, you are.
And I am in charge of the Kinfolk Mafia.
Kinfolk?
Yes.
We got kinfolk?
Yes, we have plenty of kinfolk.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm here to ask you to become a member of the family.
Hey, if we can wrestle hard, beat up people, and man, and beat up and bloody up, then I'm part of that.
Well, I am the manager of champions.
There you go.
Now I'm the manager of icons if you come with us.
Well, shake on it, buddy. I'm there with you, partner.
Right. Welcome to the family.
Thank you. Thank you. The bull, baby.
This is the Fence Man here. I'm here with, can you introduce yourself?
Joseph Miller.
All right, Joseph. Now, I see you have all kinds of different artwork here that you do. You painted of different wrestlers and everything. I see you got Matt Hardy here, and you got Sting, and then you got, who's this right here? Oh, Seth Rollins, yeah. Yeah, the Demon, the Kingslayer, the Architect, Seth Rollins. And then got CM Punk. And who could forget the immortal Hulk Hogan? What you gonna do, brother? And then you got Macho Man Randy Savage. Cool. And you got Edge. Rated R Superstar, by the way. And then, I showed that already. All right. He got a pretty awesome collection here of different, he actually hand painted these himself. So as you can see, he's a very talented artist, and any wrestling fan will be lucky to have some of these fine pieces of art. Now, can you tell the fans what inspires you to do this?
Wrestling.
Awesome.
Being a fan my whole life, and now putting it down on the canvas. Creating anything, any moment, any character, any wrestler that they ever wanted, and your favorites, anybody you want. Any memorable matches, whatever it may be. Because we all remember this match right here. WrestleMania 3.
Oh, yeah. Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan. That was an iconic match. I still remember watching that growing up. And now, do you have any favorite matches at all that you watched in the past?
Well, of course, we all do, right? Everybody loves the first TLC. Starcades back in '85. It was great. All of them, there's no bad wrestling these days.
Okay. Now, do you have any favorite pieces that you did right here?
The AJ Styles here took a lot of time and a lot of time. So that is one of my favorite pieces right now.
Cool, man. Now, do you have any contact info or anything on the web in case anybody wants to contact you to buy any pieces?
Of course, iconicart.net. Facebook is Iconic Philly. Just reach out, and I'm there. Everything's hand painted. Never paint the same thing twice, so everybody has an original piece. No prints. One of a kind. That's it. Great for a collector.
Awesome, man. Now, thanks for watching, and this has been a Fenceman exclusive. Wrestling icon, the Blue Meanie. Now, can you tell us, the fans of pro wrestling, how you got into the wrestling business?
I was fortunate enough when I was 20 years old to train with Al Snow in Lima, Ohio. Drove out there, and he helped me live the dream.
Awesome, man. Now, do you have any memorable matches at all, or any memories or inspirations of anybody else that you grew up watching in the wrestling business?
Working every night with the FBI and ECW was a dream come true because it was a learning experience with Tracy Smothers, who's like an unsung hero in ECW. But yeah, working with the FBI every night was amazing.
Okay. Now, being back here in the ECW arena probably brings back some amazing memories too. Now, is there anybody that you want to shoot on, or anything at all in wrestling today, you want to shoot about?
Nah, man, the business is strong as ever. The independent scene is as hot as ever. Everybody's doing good, so I'm happy. The business is good. Everybody's doing good. So, back, the indies used to go the way, if WWE was good, then the indies were good, but the indies are thriving on their own, so I'm happy. The independent wrestling's doing great.
Awesome. Now, can you tell us different promotions you worked for in the past?
Of course, WWE, ECW, and just various independents around the world. I go to England, I go wherever they'll have me.
All right. Now, what advice would you give to somebody that's just getting into the wrestling business, we're just looking to train, or just wants to try to make a name for himself in the business?
Just find the right place to train with. Over in New Jersey, there's a very reputable school called the Monster Factory. A bunch of our students over there are either in WWE or Ring of Honor. So go to monsterfactory.org and learn all about it.
Awesome, man. Now, what have you been doing with yourself lately these days anyway?
Just trying to stay out of trouble, try to stay busy, try to stay sane, do conventions like this, do independent shows, just having fun. I like these shows because they're like high school reunions, so.
Okay, cool, man. Thank you for doing this interview, and this has been another Fenceman exclusive. Yo, this is the Fenceman here with this week's Top Rope TV Fenceman exclusive. I'm here with Molly Holly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, now Molly, this is an awesome seminar, by the way, and thank you for coming up here, and thanks to to Joey Bellini with Warriors of Wrestling for having her. Now, first off, what was it like working for WCW and the Team Madness angle with Macho Man and Medusa?
Well, it was a great experience for me to go from the indies, working in front of 20 people, to be on Nitro during the hottest time when wrestling, the Monday Night Wars were happening. And so for me, it was awesome to be with the people that I used to watch on television as a child, to be in the ring with them. I mean, it was surreal to actually be a part of that experience. I loved it. It was definitely one of the highlights, just to go from minor leagues to being in the main event.
Very cool. And you've quoted been quoted as saying that your angle in WWE with Spike Dudley has been one of the biggest highlights of your career. What made that so?
Well, to be a part of a storyline that fans can connect with, or to look forward to what's going to happen next, that makes the job so worth it, because it's one thing to have a match where you're responsible for entertaining the fans with that, but when there's a story attached to it, you can draw so much more emotion out of the fans and out of yourself to really put on a good show, and so that's why I love that time with Spike.
Okay. Thank you. Now, when the WWF became WWE, you underwent a huge transformation, not just gimmick, but look as well. What was it brought on by changes in WWE that you began to think it was time for something different?
Well, they just needed a heel, and so they just told me to be a heel, and then they didn't really know what kind. And Ivory was super popular with the right to censor, so I was just kind of like a knockoff version of the Ivory's right to censor type of gimmick as a heel, and it worked for me. It was okay. I mean, I didn't really enjoy being a heel, but the transformation was just because Jazz had hurt her knee and they needed a heel, and so they just asked me if I would do it, and I did.
Okay. Thank you. And then you've appeared very sporadically for various independent companies and for WWE. But what made you decide to enter into the very first Women's Royal Rumble match?
Well, I got the call from Talent Relations a couple of months before the Rumble, and they just asked me if I wanted to. And I told them I wasn't sure because I didn't want to disappoint the fans. I haven't really done any in-ring stuff for a really long time. I mean, over 10 years. And so I just was worried that I was going to disappoint. And so I was like, I don't know if I should. And they assured me that, I'd be able to practice and that everything would be fine. And so I agreed to do it. And I'm glad I did. It was really fun to catch up with old friends.
Very cool. And now, will you be working any more on-screen events with WWE in the future?
If they offer me a lot of money, the answer is yes. It's possible. I mean, I have no idea if they're calling me back to do stuff, but I'm always flattered when they remember me or ask me to do something. And so if they call me and if it's something I feel like I can pull off, then I'll probably say yes.
Okay. Very cool. And now, what are your thoughts on Beth Phoenix? I know you and her have had a friendship with each other in the indie circuit. Now, would you like to talk about your friendship with Beth Phoenix at all?
Well, I really never worked with Beth full time. She was a fan, and she came and met me at some WWE fan access type of thing. And I really liked her, and she gave me a VHS tape, and she told me she was a pro wrestler. I watched it. I thought she was good. I helped her with her tryouts and everything. But we never hung out on the indies. And really, I had left the WWE about the time that she had started. So we never really worked together. But during the time that she was trying to make it, I knew she was going to be good. And so I did my best to try to help her at least put her best foot forward, even though she already had the talent, and she might have made it regardless of me. But I just saw something special in her, and so, like I said, we didn't really hang out a bunch, but I just knew that she was super talented and that she deserved to be a women's champion.
Okay. Now, also, I was watching a video on YouTube on Gorgeous George, and she mentioned you in the video. Now, have you ever worked with Gorgeous George or had any experience with her?
Well, it was actually because of Gorgeous George that I got my big break in WCW. She asked Macho Man if I could be a part of their entourage on television, and he said yes. So I taught her the wrestling moves, that helped her in her match against Charles Robinson at one of the WCW pay-per-views. And even though she's wild and crazy, I really enjoyed her friendship and working with her.
Now, also here's another question. I was also watching on YouTube as well about Substance Church. I was doing some research on you and your career since I know I'll be coming out here. I know personally I'm a Christian myself, and I have a strong belief in Jesus Christ and growing in my spirituality every day. Now, I saw you were talking about going to Substance Church. Now, could you tell the fans what faith you identify with and how does it affect your role being in the wrestling business?
Yeah, so I'm like super into Jesus. I guess that's my affiliation, is that I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. As far as like my church style, it's not super traditional, but we go to the Bible for truth, and we believe in God's love and forgiveness, and yeah, so that's like, I'm kind of disassociated from like the wrestling tribe these days, and I definitely feel like my tribe is with other believers in Christ that that want to make the world a better place, that want to the steward the gifts that God has given us, the way that God has poured love onto us, like we want to pour love onto others. And so any group of people that love the Lord and really want to share that love by really loving our neighbors, like that's my tribe, and like who I love, who like energizes me now, I guess.
Because I know, like, especially in the last 6 months, I'm actually in recovery from alcoholism, and that's what actually one thing that that led me to my high spiritual awakening like I have. And I know, like, I feel my spirituality is stronger than ever, and it's just important that how Jesus Christ played a role in my life, and it's just very encouraging to know the same for you too, that the Lord is out there and how powerful God is, and like God could do anything at any time, and God could has a plan for everybody in His life. Now, do you have anything else you'd like to add at all, or?
I think that about wraps it up, but thanks for having me.
Okay. Now that was Molly Holly or Nora Benshoof here on Top Rope TV. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Back to you, Ken.